right, sounds good, brother.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Oh, yeah. What's going on? US of A. You know who it is. Youngest in charge movement. Linnell Willingham here with you live and nationwide here on Westwood One Sports. Ride with me. Got to take you up to 3 a.m. Eastern time here on a Monday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night. Yes, indeedy. Another weekend in the books. Back in the saddle for you here on Westwood One Sports Night. Bunch of different ways you can tap in with the program. Sirius XM Channel 375. You can check us out on one of our over 200-plus affiliates out there nationwide on the FM AM dial. You can stream the show nightly as well on YouTube and on the X app on YouTube. It is Westwood One Sports Night. Make sure you search that, like, subscribe, comment, do the whole nine. You can get long-form content, YouTube shorts, individual segments. And then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 4 hours in its entirety. You just make sure you search Westwood One Sports Night. You can keep the conversation rolling with me off air on social media. Same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. Heck of a lot to get into as we roll throughout the 4 hours of this program here tonight. Our guy, Ben Strober, sitting in for our guy, Denton Day. He'll be back with us tomorrow, fresh from his vacation. Oliver Popular, behind the glass, taking your calls in text at 310-840-4910. We're going to touch on a lot here tonight because it was a very interesting weekend in the world of sports. We'll, at some point, get into Rory McIlroy being the boogeyman. It was a Tiger Woods-esque performance for Rory on Sunday at the Masters. We'll get into a conversation a little bit later on. He's now won back-to-back Masters. I believe it's only 4 golfers that have ever accomplished that feat. Where does Rory McIlroy rank amongst the individual athletes of all time, the greatest individual athletes of all time? We'll briefly touch on that. We'll give you an update, and I know you all are thirsty for an update on this situation. Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel, we'll get you an update on that situation. All of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, after The Athletic came out and said, no, we give our undivided support to Diana Rossini, she has now been placed on the bench. She's on the sideline right now and cannot report on behalf of The Athletic. We'll give you the latest details on that situation as we roll throughout the show as well. As I mentioned, talking text line wide open for you, 310-840-4910. We'll get into the National Football League as well. Ben, I was saying this to myself. Dog, I didn't even put it on the rundown. The Philadelphia Eagles made a pretty damn big trade on Friday night heading in to Saturday morning. I talked about it on my shows during the weekend. We'll get into it a little bit later on. But the NFC East also turned upside down and on its head after Philly makes another move that raises the volume on the rumors that they're going to trade A.J. Brown at some point. I've been pretty steadfast with my thoughts and beliefs on this thing. I don't think A.J. Brown is going anywhere. Why is that? You'll have to listen to the remainder of the show to find out. I want to start in the association, though, because we're in a pretty fascinating spot right now. NBA regular season wrapped up yesterday. A lot of people are whining and moaning and groaning and complaining. I believe there was something like On Friday night, there were, 168 players that ultimately did not play because of injury or illness. Give you some quick math here, right? There are 150 starters within the association. If the other night we were in a situation, we were in a situation on Friday where basically every starting five and then some bench players were not able to participate. It's a joke for the NBA. One other thing that's a joke in terms of the NBA is where things currently stand right now between Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. We got a little bit of an update on that situation yesterday as the Bucks played their regular season finale. It was announced shortly after that Doc Rivers was not going to be back with the team. Oliver Poplar, if we got it ready, my friend, Giannis Antetokounmpo spoke post-game right after finding out that Doc was not going to be back for the 2027 campaign in Milwaukee.
You got to think sometimes, like, who's saying that stuff for a Shams to go right?
We'll cut that. We'll get to that coming up here momentarily. It is Giannis speaking post-game about the news that he found out that Doc Rivers was no longer going to be the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. It feels like with this situation, we touched on it last week, as each passing moment goes by, feels like the situation gets more and more ugly. Here is where I currently sit. So there was an article that was put out in The Athletic, and Giannis spoke yesterday post-game. There's no audio of it, but he spoke to a pool of reporters after the season finale. And some of the quotes that have come out from Giannis's post-game availability, it kind of annoys me, if I'm being honest. What Giannis Antetokounmpo is trying to do is have his cake and eat it too. Unfortunately, it's not the way it works. I don't think he should be able to have his cake and eat it too. We went over the article, the bombshell piece that was put out by Shams Charania of The Athletic, of ESPN rather, middle of last week. We talked about it right here on this very program. Basically, that story, from my vantage point at least, that story that Shams put out wasn't something that was released from the Bucks folks. You know what I'm saying? Because it slanders the Bucks, and the Bucks look like a horrible organization when you go into some of the details that were listed in this story in terms of their general manager not picking up the phone and not returning text messages and calls when teams were inquiring about Giannis Antetokounmpo and his availability. There's the piece in there that makes it look bad. Giannis goes to the Bucks and says, hey, look, if things do not go right to start the year, I'm going to ask out. He asks out, and then Milwaukee doesn't do right by Giannis, which is why he's still on the team right now. That relationship, I think, hit a major, major breaking point when the Bucks decided to say, hey, look, Giannis, you're not playing. And I think as a result of that, Giannis and the folks in his camp said, hey, Shams, come here real quick, bro. I got something for you. And they are the ones who leaked this stuff out to Shams. So for Giannis yesterday was asked, do you anticipate being here in Milwaukee? He was asked, do you want to sign an extension here in Milwaukee? He said this, before we can even talk about an extension, somebody got to offer me that. I don't wear the pants in my relationship. I got to ask my wife. If my wife says yes, yes. If she says no, no. It's up to her. So you guys got to ask her. Find her on social media. Follow her podcast. I don't know if she has one. Ask her. Whatever she says, I do. He's got to stop fronting, man. This old, tired act of him trying to be the good guy while also trying to force his way out, it's run its course for me. If I'm being honest, it has totally run its course for me. This is a situation right now where all the leverage is in Giannis's court here. The ball is in Giannis's court. He has all of the leverage in this situation. In that report that was released and written by Shams. It is stated in there plain as day that Giannis is several times asked out of Milwaukee. Why are you so comfortable doing it behind the scenes and telling a reporter behind the scenes that you're going to ask out, but when you're in front of the podium, in front of a group in a scrum of reporters, you consistently cop the plea, so to speak, is the best way that I could put it. You routinely make it seem like you don't know. He was asked directly yesterday, has he played his final game as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks? He said, I don't know. It's not up to me. Yeah, it is up to you, pal. It is up to you. You're making it seem like, Milwaukee potentially doesn't want you. They've made it very clear that they do not want to part ways with you. That's why you're still on the team, pal. So to make it seem like the ball, is in their court is a joke. Here is Giannis yesterday on trade rumors entering this offseason. Quote, phone on do not disturb. I feel like sometimes people just don't listen. They listen to the sources, and the main source is me. It is what it is. This mixed messaging garbage that Giannis is doing, trying to have his cake and eat it too, trying to look like the good guy while also forcing himself out, it's ludicrous. It's annoying. It's childish. It's old. It's tired. There's so many different ways that I can describe this situation right now. I'm annoyed as hell by all of it because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. The quotes that he gave yesterday were ridiculous. Giannis on if he's played his last game as a Buck, I don't know. It's not up to me anymore. It's not up to me. We'll see. It's almost as if he didn't spoon feed Shams that hit piece that came out last week. That's what he's acting like. And I keep saying it. Look, that hit piece that came out was way too detailed for it not to come from somebody that's really, really close to the situation. And I keep saying it. If you're Milwaukee, what was your motivation to leak that information to Shams? There is no motivation because you look sorry as hell as an organization. So I continue to believe that hit piece that was dropped last week, that was Giannis's retaliation. Oh, Milwaukee, you don't want to play me down the stretch? You're not gonna play me when I'm clearly healthy? I got something for you. Watch this. And the next thing you know, that Shams hit piece comes out. Where we stand today is actually more interesting than where things stood last week when the hit piece came out. Giannis's comments have once again kind of thrown caution into the wind, so to speak, and made it seem like, is there a chance that he comes back? There's probably no chance in hell that he comes back. He's just doing this weird bit. But the latest thing that's happened here is that Doc Rivers is kind of taking some shots for this. Doc Rivers has kind of caught some strays throughout the course of this process. And look, let's just be, very concrete here, right? Doc Rivers is a casualty in this situation, right? Like, if we're going to be honest, right, about the way things have gone in Milwaukee since Doc has taken over, he dealt with the Damian Lillard season-ending injury. He also is dealing with this Giannis crap behind the scenes. So Doc Rivers is a casualty in this situation. But for whatever reason, the conversation surrounding Doc, in my opinion at least, is now reached a point of hyperbole. It's now reached a point of hyperbole. Some of the disrespect that folks have showed towards Doc Rivers is kind of insane. And I know I make jokes just like everybody else about Doc's shortcomings here as of late as a head coach, but make no mistake about it. You all are talking about Doc as if he's unqualified, to be at the top of someone's bench. Doc Rivers, if you do a little research, do a little homework, is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Doc Rivers is one of the most accomplished coaches of all time in terms of what he's been able to accomplish, not only as a player in this league, but as a coach. He's got the 6th most wins all time as a head coach in the history of the NBA. He's got the 4th most playoff wins all time in the history of NBA coaches. Like, Doc gets it done. That's why he's going to be a guy that's getting that special jacket coming up this summer as he gets inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And look, I have fallen victim to some of the narratives surrounding Doc Rivers as well, especially now that the Shams report came out. And the interesting piece of this is Shams and Doc Rivers have kind of been going back and forth in the media for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now at this point. And Doc Rivers, say what you want, don't know how fair it is to him that he's having to answer these questions when Giannis is the one that provided Shams with the ammo for the story. It's craziness to me, what we've seen happen. It just is. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I do know this. We got to put some respect on Doc Rivers as a coach. We do. To act as if he doesn't belong and he's not NBA royalty, it's kind of silly to me. Just saying. 310-840-4910 is the number here on Westwood One Sports Night. As we just get rolling, I want to open up the talking text line here real quick if you got something for me. Let's look at things from this angle, because I continue to say it. The way that Giannis has acted in this situation is honestly ludicrous. It is. He is trying to, quote-unquote, have his cake and eat it too. For him to come out last night, and say that it's not up to him and that he doesn't know if he's played his last game as a Buck, do you agree with the way Giannis is handling himself in the media? There is this passive-aggressive mentality that he has kind of gone on with here, and I'll be very open, honest, and transparent about it. It's starting to rub me the wrong way. It's starting to irritate the hell out of me because, Giannis, if you use the leverage that you have, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. If you would have put your leverage to use, this situation that you're currently in, the one that we're opening up this show talking about, it wouldn't be a thing. It wouldn't be a thing. All you got to do is force your way out. We've been doing this for the better part of 2 seasons now. And for me personally, as somebody that is responsible for talking about this stupid stuff, I'm quite frankly kind of fed up with it. 310-840-4910 is the number on the talking text line. Do you agree? This is the best way that I can put it, best way that I can ask it. Do you agree with how Giannis is handling himself with the media? 310-840-4910 is the number. There's one team in the Eastern Conference who's really looking at a situation where it's conference finals or bust. I'll tell you who that is, plus take your calls next here on Westwood One Sports Night. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance. It protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com.
The NFL Draft is next Thursday, and we'll be backstage talking to the draft picks just minutes after getting selected. The biggest storylines, the news you need to know from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
You hear me, Ben?
Yo, hello.
I hear you.
Hello.
You hear me?
At the tone,
Yeah,
the broadcast will begin in 4
Go
minutes,
in your
30
DM
seconds.
real quick and send Oliver the Giannis cut. I mean, I don't know if we're going to use it now at this point. But if we get any calls,
Bro, my whole computer crashed.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Westwood One Sports Night continues with the youngest in Charles, Linnell Willingham, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time as we get you coast to coast. Number to hit me up, talk and text line wide open for you, 310-840-4910 is the number, 310-840-4910 is the number. You can tweet at me as well, same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. Heck of a lot more to get into here. The NBA postseason officially set in terms of the bracket. We'll get into that as we roll throughout the show. We'll have a guest stop by the program as well. In the final hour of the show, Chris Miles, NBATV, going to stop by and talk all things NBA playoffs as the play-in tournament actually gets underway tomorrow. So a heck of a lot to get into here in terms of the NBA play-in tournament. as I mentioned, gets underway tomorrow. And as we sit here on the eve of the postseason, getting ready to start, I feel like it's not as wide open as it's been in recent memory. And maybe I'm having revisionist history with it, but it feels like, and I'll give you a fresh installment of No Super Six Pack, my top 6 teams as we enter the postseason. It feels like Thunder, Nuggets, Spurs, Knicks, Celtics, right? Like it in some order, right? Like those are the teams that most people feel like, hey, those are the only teams that have a realistic shot of being there at the end of the day and ultimately hoisting the trophy. Like those are the teams that feel that way. And it feels like it's been that way really all season long in terms of the teams that have been at the top, right? The same teams have been at the top of the conversation for the entirety of the season. And the big surprise team that I think everyone is looking at going, wow, when you think about their preseason projection, the fact that they're here right now is nuts. It's the Boston Celtics. It is. But there's one team to me in the Eastern Conference who is very clearly conference finals or bust. That is the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks have done everything from a personnel standpoint the right way. When you talk about acquiring Jose Alvarado, acquiring Jordan Clarkson, they have improved this roster. This roster, in terms of their rotation, on paper, they should be a shoo-in to the NBA Finals. On paper, they are the most talented team in the Eastern Conference. But it's finals or bust for them. Conference finals or bust for them because of the talent. Because of the talent. You fired Tom Thibodeau last year. And some people agree with the decision. Some people disagree with the decision. You can't disagree with this. They have been better this year under Mike Brown. The consistency has kind of lacked, but they've been better this year under Mike Brown. But with this team, the biggest question is which version of Karl Anthony Towns is ultimately going to show up. That's what matters here most for the New York Knicks as we get geared up for the postseason. Which version of Karl Anthony Towns is ultimately going to show up? We know this team could score with the best of them, right? Ranking in the top 10 in pretty much every offensive category in the NBA this year. They're legitimate on that end of the floor. The big question is, which version of Karl Anthony Towns are you ultimately going to get? That is what's going to determine the success or lack thereof when it comes to the New York Knicks and their postseason here. Because like I continue to reiterate, like on paper, they should have no problem advancing, right? They got an opening round series against the Atlanta Hawks. And I know some people have looked at that and said, I don't know if I love that matchup. Hawks don't have anything to lose. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's playing his face off here post All-Star break. They should beat the Hawks. The winner of that series goes on to face the winner of the 2-7 series. Boston, the 2 seed, the 7 seed, either going to be the Philadelphia 76ers or the Orlando Magic. They should advance past that series with no problem. It should be the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. On paper, they should have no problem advancing past Atlanta or Boston. I'm just saying. So when we talk about the NBA postseason, and I say this all the time about the NBA's second season more than any other postseason in all of sports, if you do not reach expectations, if you fail to meet expectations, consequences usually follow. Look at Tom Thibodeau last year, man. Think about it. He got fired. He got fired after what he did with New York last year. After the run that he was able to take that group on, he ultimately got canned at season's end. So for the Knicks this year, I just look at the roster, man. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's hard for me to look at them on paper and think that anyone in the East is better than them. And I know they're the team that we like to dunk on. I know they're the team that we like to constantly question, like, oh, do they have enough? Are they going to actually get over the hump? They've got more than enough. They do. But as much as it's Eastern Conference Finals or bust for this group, and I'll even change that. It should be NBA Finals or bust for this group. It's time for the other guys to begin to step up, right? Like, we can ask which version of Cat is going to show up all you want. I know Cat's going to give me something. He's not the deciding factor, though, when it comes to the postseason, because I expect him to play well. The big question is, Mikal Bridges, who all of these first-round picks that they parted ways with to acquire his services, is he going to step up? OG Anunoby, is he going to be able to step up? And I'm talking about offensively here, guys. I know what they bring to the table on the defensive end. They're huge on that end of the floor, and their impact starts there. But if they're not going to be able to knock down shots, it's going to be hard to play them, honestly. If Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby can't knock down shots, we're going to see a lot of Jordan Clarkson. We're going to see a lot of Landry Shamet. They will go to other guys. They're going to have to, because they're going to have to knock down shots here in this postseason. They are. It's going to get more difficult. You're not going to get as many foul calls because it is the playoffs. You're going to have to score in the half court. And their best way to do that is obviously with Brunson and Cat. But with those two in the two-man game, they need outlets. They need Mikal Bridges. They need OG Anunoby. They need Josh Hart. But here's my thing with the Knicks. I'm just looking at their roster here. They have the ability to go 9, 10 guys deep if they want to, man. Like, Miles McBride is going to get playoff minutes. Landry Shamet, because of the way he defends and shoots the three, is going to get playoff minutes. Jordan Clarkson and Jose Alvarado, like, adding that backcourt, dudes that were starters on their previous teams, bringing those two dudes off the bench, like, that to me has to be the difference. Mike Brown and that New York Knicks coaching staff has to get their rotation in order, because you have pieces. You do. It's how are you going to deploy them? How are you going to deploy them? What type of feel are you going to have for your rotation pattern and for your substitution pattern? If you're Mike Brown here, the Knicks got it, man. They do. And look, I keep saying it, man. The sexy, popular thing all year long has been to knock down the Knicks, has been to poo-poo on the Knicks. They've been inconsistent at times this year. You bet your ass. But the bottom line is they're still one of the most efficient offenses in the game. And if OG and Josh Hart and, Mikal Bridges step up, they've got legitimate two-way ability. They do. For the New York Knicks this postseason, it's going to be about the other guys. And the most important other guy, I guess in my opinion, is Mitchell Robinson. He's the other guy that they need to step up the most. He's the other guy that they need to be a defensive presence and a defensive anchor. Because we know that protecting the basket, protecting the rim, is not Karl Anthony Towns' strong suit. I'm not giving away state secrets when I say that. It's not his game. It's just not. But if Mitchell Robinson can play well and stay out of foul trouble and be available for this group in the biggest games of the moment, in the biggest moments of the game, rather, they're going to have a shot. They are, man. But there's no other team going into this NBA postseason that I think is under more pressure. It's got to be the Knicks. They have expectations, and for good reason. You stack their roster up, their rotation, 1 through 8, 1 through 9, depending on how many guys deep you think they go. Not only would I stack it up against anybody in the Eastern Conference, I think they stack up against some of the Western Conference teams pretty good too. Because of the size, because of the shooting, because of the switchability defensively. Like, the big question for New York is, will the other guys step up? Will the other guys step up? I'm changing the narrative here. I'm trying to, at least, in real time. Because it feels like everyone's putting it on Karl Anthony Towns. It feels like everyone's putting the burden of the Knicks' playoff success on Cat. Basically saying, if he doesn't play well, if he doesn't dominate, they won't advance. I hear you. Those of you out there that feel that way, I hear what you're saying. I agree with you to a certain extent. But to have that totally overshadow the other guys, that's where I kind of draw the line. That's why I draw the line. This is what the postseason is about. That's why home court advantage in the NBA playoffs is so damn important. And that lack of home court advantage may come back to bite the Knicks in the ass coming up in the second round of the postseason when they've got to take on Boston. Because Boston's the 2 seed. Boston, in a 2-3 matchup, is going to have the home court advantage. If you're the Knicks here, if you would have won a couple of more games, if you would have been more consistent, if you would have been able to capitalize on Jason Tatum being out for a majority of the season, there's no reason they should be the 3 seed. You just got to hope, if you're a Knicks fan, that your shortcomings in the regular season, your lack of consistency, you got to hope that that doesn't come back to bite you in the ass. Because you know what's important and who's, the biggest beneficiary of the home court advantage? It's the other guys. It's the other guys, the shooters, the role players. Those guys perform better at home in the postseason. It's just fact. So for Boston, when you're relying on Baylor Shireman, right, and Peyton Pritchard and Derek White and company, those dudes are going to shoot the cover off the basketball at home. On the road, it may be a different story. So not having that home court advantage in the Eastern Conference semis, that may be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak, for the New York Knicks. But they've got as much pressure on them as any team in the NBA going into this postseason. Bottom line, Karl-Anthony Towns, we know it. I think everybody that listens, everybody that watches, no one's questioning the talent of Karl-Anthony Towns. We're questioning the mental fortitude. We're questioning the mental toughness, the consistency. Which version of Cat ultimately shows up? People in the YouTube chat hitting us up. Cat ain't it. Bunch of negative, slanderous comments towards Cat. You can hit us up on the YouTube chat as well. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. I mean, look, if anybody out there has anything negative to say about Cat, I totally get it. He has earned the scrutiny and the criticism that comes his way. He has. But that's what's so beautiful about the NBA playoffs. It's an opportunity for you to write your story. It's an opportunity for you to cement your legacy. Everyone will forget about every other postseason shortcoming you've ever had, Cat, if you come up big this postseason for New York. Because I'm telling you how folks out there in the Bronx, Queens, Harlem, I'm telling you how folks are thinking. They are thinking finals or bust. They are thinking our time is now. The question is, will the Knicks ultimately live up to it? Will the Knicks give the city of New York something to cheer about? Eastern Conference finals or bust coming up here for the New York Knicks. And they're also the team to me that's got the most pressure on them going into the postseason. 310-840-4910 is how you tap in here on a Westwood One Sports Night. Talking text line wide open for you. It is the People Show. We encourage you to tap in however you choose to do so. 310-840-4910 is how you hit us up on the phones. You can check us out via SiriusXM channel 375. You can listen on one of our over 200-plus affiliates out there nationwide. Program just getting rolling here as we give you wall-to-wall coverage of the NBA postseason. The play-in tournament starts tomorrow. And in my opinion, the second best postseason in all of sports gets underway with the NBA playoffs. I'm absolutely in love with it. Big-time moments, big-time series, and legacies get cemented. We just talked about Karl-Anthony Towns and his ability to kind of rewrite the narrative surrounding him and his mental toughness. He can do that with a big performance. There are a couple of individual superstars as well that can remind the rest of the association just who the hell they are. We'll get to them as we roll throughout the show. There's a super dangerous team in the Western Conference, and there's one dangerous team in the Eastern Conference. The two biggest sleepers in the NBA postseason, I'll give them to you next here on Westwood One Sports Night.
Who is the best edge rusher in the draft? Ohio State's Arvell Reese or Texas Tech's David Bailey? They're both expected to go in the top 5. You ready for this? The NFL Draft is next week. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
What up? Westwood One Sports Night continues as we take you coast to coast, bringing you the latest and greatest in the world of sports. Number to hit me up, talk and text line wide open for you. It is the People Show, 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me as well. It is at NELL_BTP. A lot more to get to as we roll throughout this program. As I mentioned, we will continue to talk all things NBA. Play-in tournament gets underway tomorrow. Super duper excited about that. And then the real NBA playoffs get underway on Saturday, where a bunch of round one series will ultimately tip off. We'll have some opening round series tip off on Sunday as well. It's that time of year, people. NBA postseason is officially here. What we'll do coming up in about 15 minutes or so is we'll tell you the NBA superstar that's under the most pressure as we get geared up for the NBA playoffs. I say it all the time that the NBA's postseason, more than any other, right? If you fail to meet expectations, there are massive, massive consequences. So there are your favorites, right? The Knicks, the Thunder, Spurs, right? And then there are some sleeper teams that I think have the ability to really bust some brackets, so to speak, is the best way that I can put it. There are some sleeper teams, two sleeper teams, that have the ability to really shake things up in terms of the NBA playoff picture. In the Western Conference, Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves are a sleeping giant. Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves are the team that nobody wants to face. The Denver Nuggets in round one are 110% on upset alert. My biggest question in that series and why I love Minnesota so much, who on the perimeter is staying in front of Anthony Edwards? You think it's going to be Aaron Gordon? I doubt it. They don't have a Ant Edwards stopper. And I love the different bodies that they're able to throw at Nikola Jokic. I love the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the big difference maker for this group, really since the trade deadline, what they have gotten from Ayo Dosunmu, he has given them the shot in the arm that they really need. And if he's going to shoot the basketball the way he shot it toward the end of the season, they're going to be a tough out. They are. And y'all know who gets geared up and who gets geeked up for big-time playoff basketball more than anybody. Big Jelly, Naz Reid. I expect him to be a difference maker. I just love the mental makeup of the Timberwolves. They take after Anthony Edwards. They take after Julius Randle. They're as tough as a damn $2 steak. Like that group, they're ducking no smoke, and they've been here before. They've been here before. They understand the moment, and quite frankly, if you're Anthony Edwards, it feels like this year, whether it was due to injury or whatever, maybe people have forgotten just how special you are. We've talked about Victor Wembanyama as the face of the league. We talked about Luka as an MVP candidate face of the league. What about Anthony Edwards, the clear-cut best American in the association right now? What about him? They've got a really big opportunity, man. And I'm telling you, it starts in round number one. It starts in round number one with the Denver Nuggets. And then if they advance, you're talking about potentially a second-round series between Minnesota and my beloved San Antonio Spurs. That's where it gets kind of tricky. But there's one team in the Western Conference, man, that's a sleeping giant. I think it's Minnesota. Who in the hell wants to take on the Timberwolves? I'm just saying. The other Western Conference matchup that we're going to get in round number one, maybe we'll talk about it more as we roll throughout the week. We get to see LeBron James versus Kevin Durant in the postseason series. We get to see LeBron James versus Kevin Durant in a postseason series. I got to really, really think about it. Have we gotten this before? Have we gotten a KD LeBron postseason series before? I'm excited about it. Now, here's the crazy part. The Lakers and the Rockets are going nowhere fast. honestly. Whoever wins that series, it'll be the only series that they win throughout the entirety of the NBA playoffs. But that's on the back burner as well in terms of big-time storylines as we get geared up for, this Eastern Conference playoffs, this Western Conference playoffs. I gave you my biggest sleeper in the West. My biggest sleeper in the East, I've talked about them a lot here over the past month or so, but they're dealing with a pretty big wrinkle right now, a pretty big hiccup, a pretty big hurdle. The most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference playoffs, without a shadow of a doubt, is the Philadelphia 76ers. The problem with Philly, as we all know, same story, different year. The health of Joel Embiid is the big dark cloud hanging over this franchise right now. Because I'm telling you, they're another group. If you're Boston, if you're Detroit, why in the hell would you want to take on that talented of a 7 or an 8 seed? They're not your traditional 7-8 seed if they're healthy. This group has dudes. And if Joel Embiid is healthy, and I know it's a big if, if he's healthy, they've got to punch a shot against anybody in the Eastern Conference. He is that big of a difference maker. The other piece is this. Our guy Chris Miles is going to join us coming up a little bit later on. I had a phone conversation with him not too long ago, and he dubbed the Philadelphia backcourt VJ Max. If you're balling on a budget, you can get drippy at TJ Maxx. The Philadelphia 76ers getting drippy with VJ Max. That backcourt of VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, it's the type of backcourt that even if they don't have Joel Embiid, it's the type of backcourt that can get you through an opening round series. Now, against Boston, maybe it's a different story. But let's just make the case for them beating Boston. What does Boston rely on more than any other team in the NBA? They live and die by the three-point shot. So if you catch Boston a couple of nights where they're ice cold from three, you're going to have a shot if you are the Philadelphia 76ers. If you are Philly and you catch Boston lacking one night and they're not knocking down the three-point shot with regularity or consistency, that could be your ability to slither in and catch them napping. That's your moment. But I remember I mentioned with the Knicks, right? I talked about the other guys. I talked about Mikal Bridges. I talked about OG. I talked about Josh Hart, Mitch Robinson. It's a similar story for Philadelphia. You need Quentin Grimes to come up big. You need Kelly Oubre to come up big. And to think that we're calling this dude at this juncture of his career an other guy, so to speak, kind of feels disrespectful, but it is what it is. You need Paul George to show up big and knock down shots for you. Here's the thing about Paul George. He's looked okay against some of the bad teams. But since his return, when they've played some of the good teams, he's struggled a little bit. So Philadelphia is a team that, yeah, they have their flaws. Yeah, they have their issues. But they're kind of scary as well. If we got it ready, Oliver, our guy Shams Charania of ESPN gave an update on the biggest question mark entering the NBA playoffs. It's the health of Joel Embiid.
The Sixers are preparing to be without Joel Embiid for the play-in tournament that starts on Wednesday. There will be a potential game on Friday if they lose on Wednesday. And so he's not expected to play during the play-in tournament. There's an expectation, obviously his status is doubtful starting into the playoffs. My understanding is he's in the very early stages of his recovery process from appendicitis. So he has to recover first. Then there will be a separate physical part of the rehab as well.
You want to talk about just having the worst luck possible? So for people that want to call the big fella JoJo injury prone, like he had a bursted appendix. Like how can you possibly control that? How could you possibly look at somebody crazy and go, see, he's injury prone when you're dealing with something crazy like that? 310-840-4910 is the number here on Westwood One Sports Night. We're just getting rolling. NBA playoffs officially set. The play-in tournament gets underway tomorrow. The official round one gets underway on Saturday. There is one NBA player making his postseason debut coming up this weekend, that's under more pressure than anybody in the entire playoff field. I'll tell you who next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
here's Linnell Willingham.
Party continues as we take you coast to coast, giving you the latest in the world of sports here on Westwood One Sports Night. The youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, rocking out with you. It is a Meal Monday here on Westwood One Sports Night. I have not mentioned that throughout the first hour of the program. I do want to let you know, it is a Meal Monday. What will happen tonight during Meal Monday, I can't tell you. But you do know this about Meal Monday. There could be blood. There could be guts. There could be gore. There could be overly dried chicken. You have to stick around to figure out what it is. You can check out Meal Monday via our live stream. You can check out the show on the live stream each and every night. Just search Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment as we continue to try to grow this thing, man. You all, the best audience in all of sports talk radio, helping this show grow at a rapid pace. We appreciate you doing so. If you want to keep the conversation rolling off of the air and on social media, it's at NELL_BTP on each and every social media platform. Our NBA coverage continues, but we will get into the NFL as we ease our way into the 1 o'clock hour of the program. One of the top draft prospects in the 2026 NFL draft with a off-the-field incident that has popped up here over the weekend. We'll tell you whether or not we think it's going to impact his draft stock. And then we'll also take a look at one position group, in my opinion, that, seemingly is being slept on in terms of just how many guys I'm seeing mocked and how low I'm seeing guys mocked in terms of the first round of the NFL draft. But everything for me right now is about the NBA postseason. Chris Miles of NBATV, one of the best guests in the world, going to join us coming up in the final hour of the program. He is as plugged in as anybody in the business, a guy that spends a lot of time on the high school circuit watching the future stars of the NBA. Excited to catch up with him and get his thoughts on where things currently stand when it comes to the NBA postseason, man. I say it all the time about the NBA playoffs. This is a postseason that is chock full of consequences. If you do not reach expectations in the NBA playoffs, it's the organization, it's the league rather, that tends to overreact to shortcomings. You see it each and every year when a team fails to meet expectations. Last year, it was Tom Thibodeau. He was the sacrificial lamb for the New York Knicks because they didn't go as far as they were supposed to go. So his ass got canned. Happens each and every year. The big question that I have this year is what's going to be the big consequence for a team falling short? Who's going to be the team that ultimately falls short? There is one NBA player that cannot afford to fall short coming up here in the NBA playoffs. He is under more pressure than anybody in the entire association going into the postseason. Victor Wembanyama needs to have an elite postseason debut. Victor Wembanyama needs to live up to expectation in the playoffs. He has to. Think about how we're talking about the young man. And I'm raising my right hand. I'm as guilty as anybody because I believe in the brother. I think he's got all the talent in the world. I've said it with my entire chest on this program. I think he is going to end up being the greatest player that the NBA's ever seen. How do you live up to those expectations? How do you begin to show folks, I'm here? You go Kanye crazy in your first NBA playoffs. His numbers throughout the course of the regular season have been out of this world. When you think about what he's been able to accomplish in under 30 minutes per game, he was a legitimate MVP candidate in my mind. There should have been a real conversation about him winning the league MVP, but it is what it is. The bottom line is, though, in the NBA's second season, this is where legacies are born. This is where stars are created. And Victor Wembanyama's got an opportunity this year to show that, hey, I'm not just a flash in the pan. I'm not just some regular season alien. I am the dude that's going to be responsible for ushering this league into the future. It's Victor Wembanyama's league this postseason. He's got to prove it. I want to open up the talking text line to you. to answer this question at 310-840-4910. For me, it's Victor Wembanyama. Who is it for you? Which NBA player is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 playoffs? 310-840-4910. Without a shadow of a doubt, for me, it's Victor Wembanyama, and here is why. I told you the numbers during the regular season were out of this world. In 29 minutes per contest, he gave you 25 points, 11.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, a steal, 83% from the free throw line, 35% from 3 on 6 attempts per contest, and a blistering 51% from the field. There was nothing that Victor Wembanyama could not do during the regular season. He is a unicorn. It's a reason why I talk about him the way that I talk about him. He's got the chance to be the greatest player that this game has ever seen. The thing that I'm most interested in when it comes to the playoffs, how does he perform with the extra minutes? He played 29 minutes per night during the regular season. In the postseason, I expect that number to ratchet up. Depending on whether it's a game 7 or not, it may be a game where Victor plays 45 minutes in a game. There may be a game, we've seen it before in the playoffs, where you don't get subbed out at all during a game. I pulled up the numbers here. His numbers per 48 minutes are some of the most ridiculous stats you'll ever see. I wish they had the per 36 numbers up here in front of me because that's more realistic. But, man, this cat, if he played 48 minutes tonight, if he played 36 minutes tonight, we're talking about somebody that'd be averaging 30 and 15 to go along with probably 5 blocks. In 6 assists, we've never seen a guy have this sort of impact, man. And why do I say he's under the most pressure? Because of how we're already talking about him, despite him not making his postseason debut yet. That just is what it is. And when I say that he's under the most pressure, doesn't mean that I think he's going to succumb to the pressure. I think he's going to kick the pressure right in its ass. That's the type of cat that I think Victor Wembanyama is. I think the pressure is never going to be too much for him. 310-840-4910 is the number here on Westwood One Sports Night. For me, it's clearly Victor Wembanyama. For you, who is it? NBA postseason gets underway coming up on Saturday. Which NBA player is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the NBA playoffs? 310-840-4910. Sam is in Chicago batting leadoff for us. Welcome in to Westwood One Sports Night.
I think LeBron and Kevin Durant, 2011. So we did have a KD LeBron playoff series already. But, I mean, how could you say it's Victor Wembanyama? Before I even say my
you said
point.
When?
We had
hold on. What did you say? You said
we had a KD.
Oh, we had the Miami. Yeah, we had the finals. We had the finals. You're right.
Right. So that was that. But, I mean, how could you say it's Victor Wembanyama? I mean, Michael Jordan was already the greatest at that point. And you know what? He lost to the Celtics. He lost to the Pistons before. I mean, you got to let Victor Wembanyama fail in the playoffs beforehand. I mean, I would say it's got to be the Knicks.
Hold on now. Ho. This is where I got to stop you real quick.
All right.
What do you mean we have to let Victor Wembanyama fail in the postseason? Do you hear how I'm talking about him? I'm talking about him as the greatest player of all time, potentially. Did Michael Jordan ever fail in the playoffs?
In a couple of playoff games against Boston. And he lost because he's facing a juggernaut. The San Antonio Spurs are going to go up against Oklahoma City Thunder. This is defending champions over here.
I'm not talking about losing. I'm talking about individual performance. Michael Jordan never, ever came up small in the postseason. Victor Wembanyama, if he's on this GOAT trajectory that I'm talking about, he can't come up short in the NBA playoffs either. Without a shadow of a doubt, there is not a single
hold that against
individual.
LeBron has come up in postseasons many times. Small.
Well, you're talking about the greatest individual athlete in the history of North American sports.
Right, and he has come up in the postseason many times small. So I think we get Victor Wembanyama to cut some leeway.
Victor Wembanyama, look, I appreciate the call. I'm the biggest Victor Wembanyama supporter that there is. He gets no leeway. Let his ass come out in the playoffs and not play well, I'm going to be the first one. I'm going to be the first one that has something to say about it. Because with great, with great praise comes great expectations, comes great responsibility. He owes it to his supporters to play well in the postseason. I'm not talking, and when I say he's under pressure, I'm not talking about it through the lens of, the Spurs got to win the finals or it's some sort of failure for Wemby. That's not what I'm saying at all. If he doesn't play well, though, we get to question everything that we've seen throughout the course of the regular season. Because anybody that follows the NBA understands it, right? Playoff basketball is night and day different from regular season basketball. 310-840-4910 is the number. Question is simple for you on the talking text line. Which NBA player is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the NBA postseason coming up this weekend? 310-840-4910 is the number. Let's go to Mr. Positive, who wants to chime in. What's going on, Greg? Welcome in, brother.
Hey, Linnell. Boom shakalaka. Everybody go for your dreams. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes.
Real
indeed.
quick. That was a hell of a Masters. Scotty and Rory going down to the wire. Oh, my God. Though that's going to be a great rivalry. But for me, we got to, like the gentleman said, I think we got to give Wemby a little bit of slack because he's still young. He's going to learn. He's going to mature. And I don't want him to put the pressure on himself that much. But for me, it's got to be Kevin Durant. He only won on a super team. I think the pressure's on him because I think he has to prove himself outside of a team that had Steph and the great three-point shooter.
When you mention pressure, are you talking about from the standpoint of he has to play well individually, or you need to see Houston advance?
Say that one more time. He has to play well.
Are you looking at it? Are you looking at Kevin Durant through the lens of his individual performance, or do you need to see Houston advance for him to meet your expectations, so to speak?
Very well said, Linnell. I think I need him to see him advance, and he's got to do that by playing and putting the team on his shoulders and going for it and doing that. That was a very nice way of putting it. Yes, he has to advance to the pressure's on him.
For sure.
He's supposed to be one of the great ones.
He is.
Thanks,
I appreciate you as always, my friend. 310-840-4910. So I want to piggyback off of what Mr. Positive just said about Kevin Durant. I think the Kevin Durant conversation is fascinating. I'm a DMV guy through and through. I know how I get down. If you're streaming me on YouTube, you see the background. Me and Kevin Durant have a lot in common. I agree, though. Kevin Durant, here's the thing. He's got to beat the Lakers. They can't lose. They can't lose the opening round series to LA because they're the more talented team clearly on paper, even with all of the injuries that we've seen here, for Houston, not having Fred VanVleet. Like, that's the big killer. The X factor for the Rockets, though, Kevin Durant, we know is going to play well. I expect him to come up big. My X factor for Houston, man, what are you going to get out of Reed Shepherd? Is Reed Shepherd going to be a guy that's playable for you during the playoffs? And the other piece is this. We talk about guys that are ready to make the leap, so to speak, and take another step. Amen Thompson, baby. I'm ready to see Amen Thompson in his second ever playoffs. I think Houston, they're probably the most slept-on team in the West. They are. And for good reason, because they've been as inconsistent as anybody throughout the course of the regular season. But I can sell you, or create a scenario, rather, in my head where I see Houston at least advancing past round number one. Anything beyond that, I don't know if I can necessarily trust it. 310-840-4910 is the number. Question is simple for you, baby, on the talking text line. Which NBA star, which NBA player in the postseason is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the playoffs? Playoffs get underway on Saturday with round number one. The play-in tournament gets underway tomorrow. Who's under the most pressure? Who's got to go hard, or else you're going home in terms of your fandom for them? 310-840-4910. Jimbo out in New Hampshire. Check it in. What's going on, Jim? Welcome in, brother.
How we doing, my friend? Hey, thank you and your partner there for taking my call.
Yes,
I do. I've been watching basketball for over 40-something years, and I'm a Celtics fan. But Wembanyama is something else. He's probably the greatest thing I've ever seen. I just hope he can stay healthy He's got that long, lengthy build, but he's solid. There's nothing he can't do, and I hope my Celtics don't have to face him.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens with the Celtics. They got an interesting second-round matchup coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, last night they didn't even put anyone in, and they still beat Orlando. You know,
They didn't need to. I appreciate the call, Jim. The other guys for Boston, this is going to be huge. That's why them having home court advantage, as I mentioned to start the show, is absolutely paramount. It is huge that Boston and their role players, if it comes down to a Game 7, will be at home. Baylor Shireman and Peyton Pritchard, and so on and so forth. They need their other guys to be able to knock down shots. I think their best shot of doing that is in a Game 7, specifically if they're at home. 310-840-4910 is the number. I think Victor Wembanyama is the NBA player that's under the most pressure as we get geared up for the postseason. I have dubbed him a guy that's on pace to be the greatest of all time. And I say it with my chest. Look, I interviewed Chris Paul. We played that for y'all last week. I even said it to CP3. I said, look, brother, tell me what you think. Can he be the GOAT or not? Everyone knows that we're witnessing something that we've never seen before in this sport when it comes to Wemby, his positional size, the way he impacts defense. We've never seen anything like it. But for as successful as he's been, for as productive as he's been, we've never seen it in the playoffs. And when the officiating gets a little bit different and you can bump and grind a little bit more, how does Wemby handle it? Will it be too much for him? I think he's going to succeed, but I'd be a damn fool to act as if raising the question is not appropriate here. 310-840-4910. Which NBA superstar is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the postseason? Giannis and the Bucks. We opened up the show with that. I'll give you the latest on Giannis and the Bucks after Doc Rivers fired. There is some rumor that he may end up going into the front office. I don't buy it at all. I'll give you the latest on Giannis and the Bucks, plus take your calls on the most on the player that's under the most pressure, rather, as we get geared up for the NBA playoffs next here on Westwood One Sports.
How high is too high to draft a running back? Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love may be the best player in the NFL draft, but is he a generational talent worth picking in the top 5? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
You heard the big voice guy, youngest in Charles and Earl Willingham, still kicking it to you as we take you coast to coast, giving you the latest and greatest in the world of sports. NBA postseason. You smell that? You hear that? I can smell the rubber burning on the hardwood. I can smell the popcorn popping in the stadium. I can hear the basketball bouncing. NBA postseason, man, is always one of the most special times of the year. And I know what some of you all are probably thinking. You're a playoff whore, Linnell. You just said that the NCAA tournament was the greatest postseason of all time. I agree with that. I do feel that way. But I'm cheating. I'm unloyal. I'm unfaithful. I'm getting it in. I'm doing my best Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel impersonation when it comes to how I feel about the NBA postseason. I've been saying it all show long. You might as well put it on a T-shirt, tat it on your forehead, because I'm going to say it all postseason long. There is no postseason in all of sports, none in all of sports, that has bigger consequences if you fail to meet expectations than the NBA postseason. You got to shake a leg or lose one. You got to crap or get off of the pot. It's go time. And as we move throughout this NBA playoffs and we get deeper and deeper into this thing, the one thing that I'm eager to watch with one team in particular, and it's kind of what we're talking about right now on the talking text line at 310-840-4910. How does Victor Wembanyama handle his first NBA playoffs? You're going to be playing every other day. Every other day is how this goes. Can he handle it? Can he handle it? Can he handle potentially, playing 40 minutes a night? That's my big question. It's why, to me, there is not a single player that is under more pressure heading into this NBA postseason than Victor Wembanyama. If there is, you tell me. 310-840-4910. You give me somebody that you think is under more pressure, and we'll see if I agree or not. 310-840-4910. Want your calls on the NBA player that's under the most pressure heading into the postseason. I got Knight Rider hitting us up in the YouTube chat saying Hawks in 7. Brother, you must be tripping. Pass me whatever you smoking on. I'm telling you, anybody that thinks the Atlanta Hawks are advancing out of the opening round against the Knicks, it sounds great. It sounds great. Here's the thing, though, I'll say real quick about Atlanta. Here's the thing I'll say real quick about the Hawks, in that matchup in particular. The fact that they can throw Nickeil Alexander-Walker at Jalen Brunson, that intrigues me. Like, that's the type of dude that I think has the chops on the defensive end to be able to slow down and limit the impact of Jalen Brunson. 310-840-4910 is the number. I got Josh Colbert checking in via the YouTube chat as well. He says, no better postseason is better than the NHL playoffs. I know a lot of people out there feel that way. You probably got a gap, missing teeth, the whole nine. I know how my hockey fans get down. You all are the toughest crop of people that exist out there. I have a newfound appreciation for the NHL. I do. I will say this, right? The NHL is boring to me. Hockey playoffs, they don't move the needle. But I think hockey players may be the most skilled sports individuals out there in the landscape of pro sports. I went ice skating a couple times during last fall. And I'm thinking, hot damn, to think that these brothers is doing what I'm doing, skating, and they have a stick in their hand trying to navigate a puck, getting hit, the contact that comes with it, not too much on the NHL postseason. I'll say that. 310-840-4910. We're going to get back into Doc Rivers and Giannis coming up here in a second, but I want your calls, man. Which NBA stars are under the most pressure as we get geared up for the postseason? Sam is in Maine wanting to check in. Sammy, what's going on? Welcome into Westwood One Sports Night. Here, cut your radio down for me, Sam.
Talking to me?
Yep, I got you. What's going on, man?
Oh, sorry. My name is Bailey, actually. Sorry about that.
Bailey, my fault, brother. What's going on?
It's all good, man. So it's kind of a wild take here, but I want you to hear me out.
Uh-oh.
How many teams are in the NBA?
30.
How many could you name that Peyton Pritchard doesn't start on?
Now, look.
I can name one.
Yeah. He is.
The Boston Celtics. Ready? So without the Tatum injury, Pritchard starts the entire year. So tell me how a guy that, like you said, is you're waiting on the guy to take the next step. He's got the most pressure in these playoffs.
Talking about Peyton Pritchard.
Just because
that's a good one, yeah.
He'd start on every other team and be in their full-blown lineup. So, ready, how do you start anyone over him without the injury to Tatum? You can't.
Yeah.
If he balls out, he's either going to ask for a trade and/or you have to trade someone else to get him back in that starting lineup.
They re-signed Derek White this offseason, didn't they? They re-signed Derek White this past offseason.
Exactly, and that was the problem. As soon as they did that, you knew there was no hole for Pritchard. But you can't name another team in the NBA that he don't start on.
That's interesting. He's earned the right, and I appreciate the call. He has earned the right to be, talked about as one of the best bench players in all of the association. There aren't many guys that I would take over Peyton Pritchard off the pine. But I don't want to just put it just on Peyton Pritchard. I get what the last caller is saying, though. You essentially, when you get Jason Tatum back, you're adding a starter. You're getting a starter now off the bench with Peyton Pritchard. I think it's a hell of a point. But my thing is with Boston, it's not just about Peyton Pritchard. It's about everybody. It's about Kata. It's about Derek White. Everybody not named Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown got to play big, got to step up. The big man that they acquired at the trade deadline, man, that's the other cat where I'm looking and saying, hey, Vooch, what you got for us, baby? This is why we acquired you. Not for the regular season to get us to our, 56-win pace. No, that's not why we acquired you. We acquired you so we can potentially go on a finals run here. Will that happen? right? Like, I can't believe I haven't mentioned the key other guy for Boston, Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser is another cat who has played big and had some big-time scoring performances throughout the year. He is going to have to play big. The entire Celtics bench, their role players, everyone not named Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, under an immense amount of pressure for the Boston Celtics. But here's the thing. I got Knight Rider says the Hawks are playing with house money. I think Boston's playing with house money. Nobody expected the Celtics to be here. So you damn right they're playing with house money. They can lose in round 1 to Philadelphia, and I wouldn't consider it a major disappointment. 310-840-4910. I think Victor Wembanyama is the NBA player that's under the most pressure as we get geared up for the postseason. Who's your guy? 310-840-4910. Joel is in San Diego. I wanted to chime in. What's going on? Welcome into Westwood One Sports.
Hi, pleasure to be on your show.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
listen, I've been watching the NBA since 1970, and I'll say this. The only team I think that could beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they play a really good defense, is the San Antonio Spurs. Now, with that being said, Victor Wembanyama, phenomenal player. The one thing, it's been brought up already, there's been guys like Yao Ming, Ralph Sampson, a lot of these big guys, they've gotten hurt. When they're like 7'3", 7'4", and have got hurt. And he has only played roughly 30 minutes a game. You're asking him to step up to 40 minutes. It's more physical. Can he do it at his body structure? And I think the pressure's on the supporting cast because San Antonio has had a very, very good year. Stephon Castle is a very, very important player on that team. If he doesn't play well, if he plays like a James Harden, they're going to be in trouble.
Hey,
I'm
man, I'm glad you brought up
Wembanyama.
Steph Castle because his turnovers, there was a stretch before they went on that tear in the month of February. The Stephon Castle turnover problem was a real thing. If you talk to folks down there in San Antonio, I'm glad you brought him up, and I appreciate the call. So maybe, and I think Joe just kind of segued this perfectly here. I am putting a lot of pressure on Wemby because it's his first postseason. But it's also the first postseason for Steph Castle. It's the first postseason, I believe, for Keldon Johnson, for Devin Vassell. So, yeah. Like, that's the thing that it's talked about a lot. I don't know if the casual basketball fan gives it enough credence. Man, playoff basketball is just different. So if you're not ready, if you're not primed for the moment, you're going to fold. Point blank. If you're not primed and ready for the moment, you will fold. And that's what I'm interested to see. Like, it's kind of like the cynic in me. I want to see who's going to fail. I want to see who are the lights too damn bright for. Who's going to fold like a cheap suit? Knight Rider, maybe somebody from your Hawks, brother, man. 310-840-4910 is the number. Chap, calling from out in Cleveland. What's going on, Chap?
Nothing much. What up with it?
What up, brother? How you going?
I'm chilling. But I think the most pressure has got to be on James Harden / Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Y'all Cleveland folks is hard, man. Y'all hard on them boys.
I think they are too hard on them. I wouldn't break them up, but there's all this negative talk on sports talk here. If they don't make it this year, they're going to break it up, all of that. But people act like Harden never had playoff success. He has been to the finals. He has been to the Western Conference Finals. And he has had big games in the playoffs. When he was with Philly, he dropped 2 40-point games. Embiid didn't do nothing. But he has help now with the Cavs, with Mobley, and with Donovan Mitchell. So if he can get 2 big games, Mobley and Mitchell should be able to get the other 2. And that's the
you hit it. Hey, brother. Hey, Chap, you hit it right on the head, man. Look, that's the difference to me. He's the third option for the first time in his career. Because the way that Mobley and Donnie Mitch is playing, you're right. James Harden is officially in a situation now where he can let his best trait shine. I don't think there's anybody that gets others involved better than James Harden. And when he doesn't have that pressure of having to, we done got that pressure of having to go out and score 35, 40 a night, I think you see the best version. You know who I'm also, I wouldn't say they're under a bunch of pressure, but they're going to be a key X factor. What you going to get out of Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis? Will Keon Ellis be playable in the postseason.
I was just about to say that. Will he even make the rotation? I would play him. I like his style and Schroeder. I would play both of them, but
it's the toughness.
It's a fairly deep team.
It is.
And for some reason,
the
people
call,
seem
Chap. I gotta let you
right.
run, man. 310-840-4910 is the number. I'm glad we brought up Cleveland. I'm glad we took a trip down to Cleveland because they're my other team that's like, y'all remember when the trade happened? We was on the air the next day. I believe it was a duo show that day, myself and Josh Graham. And I sat here and told you all, so I was blue in the face, this will be the year for James Harden. I love the makeup of this Cavs team, but they're another group that doesn't have a whole lot of postseason success. What are you going to get out of Dean Wade, right? What are you going to get out of Jalen Tyson? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm eager to see what the rotation looks like. But the one thing I keep going back to, when it comes to Cleveland, is James Harden. For all the James Harden detractors out there, James Harden is in a situation right now for Cleveland where he's not going to be thought about. He's not. He's the third option. The biggest question for the Cleveland Cavaliers, I know he's going to step up. I know Evan Mobley's going to step up. The big question is, do the other guys step up? And I know it feels like it's been a common theme for a lot of the teams that I'm talking about here. The other guys. The Raptors aren't talented enough. They should have no issue with Toronto. What I'm interested in is they've got the bigs when it comes to Mobley and Jared Allen. They got the bigs that can bang with Beef Stew and Jalen Duren. That is going to be probably one of the most intriguing second-round matchups that we get if Cleveland is ultimately able to handle their business against the Toronto Raptors. 310-840-4910 is the number. Give me the NBA player that you think is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the postseason. Richie, out in Florida, wanting to check in. What's going on, Rich?
What's up, my man? How you doing tonight?
I'm good, brother. What's going on?
So let's look at this. Jalen Brunson. He ain't under pressure, huh? He ain't the man that's under most pressure to do something this offseason.
I would say him and Cat, it's levels to it when it comes to the pressure. But Brunson shows up in the postseason, man. You ain't ever got to question what you're going to get out of JB.
It's not a matter of he shows up in the postseason. It's a matter of when are we going to win a title. It's about winning titles, not about showing up.
Hey, I hear you now. Yeah, look, you preaching to the choir. I know. What, you a Knicks fan?
I'm a diehard Knicks fan, my man, and I'm showing up is showing up. I want a title.
Hey, look, if you're a Knicks fan, that should be your expectation. When you think about all the draft capital that Leon Rose and company have moved to get win now stars, you damn right. It's time for the New York Knicks to win now.
We gave up 5 first-round picks for that man.
I agree with you, brother. It's time for him to win. It's time for him to win now. 310-840-4910 is the number. I'll tell you this, right? When it comes to the Knicks, their path to getting to the finals, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. I'm sleeping on the Hawks. And I know there's some folks on the talking text line that are going to tell me, brother, you're tripping. I'm sleeping on the Hawks, so I don't worry about them in the opening round. But to think that you got to beat Boston and Detroit to ultimately get to the NBA Finals, that's tough for me. To the NBA Finals, that's tough for me. I don't know if they have the firepower to do that. Speaking of firepower, I'll tell you the 6 teams that have the most firepower as we get geared up for the NBA playoffs, the most highly anticipated power ranking segment in all of Sports Talk Radio. Nell Super Six Pack, my top 6 teams as we get geared up for the NBA postseason. That's next, plus your calls here on Westwood One Sports Night. This portion of the show brought to you by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Learn more and get started today with Robinhood at Robinhood.com/yourmoney.
The NFL Draft is next Thursday, and we'll be backstage talking to the draft picks just minutes after getting selected. The biggest storylines, the news you need to know from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Westwood One Sports Night continues Sports with the youngest in charge, and Earl Willingham, taking you coast to coast, giving you the latest in the world of sports. NBA postseason on and popping, coming up this week, telling you what it is and what it ain't when it comes to the NBA playoffs. As we roll throughout the duration of this show, we will get into the National Football League NFL draft just 9 days away. And when you think about how close we are to the start of the draft, to have a off-the-field incident pop up at this point in the pre-draft process, as we've seen in the past with a guy like Laramie Tunsil, could spell doom. That is the case for one of the top defensive prospects in the NFL draft. We'll get to that as we ease our way into the 1 o'clock hour on the East Coast. NBA playoffs are on and popping, man. I've given you a couple different thoughts here. I told you that the two biggest sleepers in the NBA postseason, one from the East, one from the West. In the East is the Philadelphia 76ers. If Joel Embiid is able to return and come back healthy in round number one, we know he's out for the play-in tournament, but his status for the opening round still kind of murky. We'll see if they can get him back, and if he can be at somewhat close to full strength. I like Philly, man. I do. They're a tough matchup. There aren't a lot of bigs in the East that can deal with him when he's healthy and giving it a go. And then there are other guys, VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey. All of those guys are better and get to play better and have more spacing and more freedom when Joel Embiid is doing his thing in the on the interior and drawing an extra defender. In the Western Conference, man, it feels like we've almost forgotten about Anthony Edwards. And I'm hoping, because I want to see a crazy NBA playoffs. I want to see upsets. I want to see buzzer beaters. I want to be glued to my damn television set all day Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to be glued to the TV set anyway, just because that's what we do. But, damn it, I want to see it. With Anthony Edwards, man, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, their X factor is Ayo Dosunmu, who they acquired from the Chicago Bulls prior to the NBA trade deadline. If he can shoot the basketball and defend the way that he has here in the back half of the season, woo, think about it. You add another perimeter defender to Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, who's already one of the best 1-2 punches in terms of playing defense on the perimeter in the NBA. You now add Dosunmu to that mix. What if you don't have to put Anthony Edwards on the best offensive player on the perimeter? What if you can hide Anthony Edwards defensively and make him exert less energy? That means instead of giving you 35 in the playoffs, maybe he's giving you 45. You know what I'm saying? I expect him to go Kanye crazy and play big time for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's my biggest sleeper in the Western Conference. I told you the New York Knicks, straight up, argue with somebody you love. Maybe it's me. For the Knicks, Eastern Conference Finals or bust. Your roster, top to bottom, is too good, and you fired Tom Thibodeau. You have expectations. In a year in which Boston's not up and they're, losing their chemistry, they're not the same group that they were last year. Jason Tatum's still working his way back. If you're the New York Knicks, there are no excuses. Jose Alvarado, Jordan Clarkson, Deuce McBride, they need the other guys to step up. And most importantly, we know what it is and what it ain't. It is on Victor Wembanyama. It is on Karl Anthony Towns, rather, and it is on Jalen Brunson. Let's do this, though. I've been teasing it all show long. If we got it ready, NBA postseason gets geared up on Friday, or on Saturday, rather. I bring you the most highly anticipated power ranking segment in all of sports talk radio, Nell's Super Six Pack, my top 6 teams as we get geared up for the NBA playoffs.
3, 2, 1, ready. It's the most highly anticipated power ranking segment in all of sports radio. Sit back, crack a can. It's time for Nell's Super Six Pack.
Let's get right into it. Number 6, the Detroit Pistons. They have an opening round matchup that can see them face. They have an opening round matchup that should allow them to get out of that opening round easily, unless it ends up being the Philadelphia 76ers, as I mentioned. They're either going to see the Sixers or the Magic. That's probably the most likely scenario for them, as those are the higher seeds here in the play-in tournament. We know how I feel about Detroit. It's about whether or not they can find a second star. Can they find someone to complement Cade Cunningham? If they can, maybe they can make a little bit of noise. Number 5 is the New York Knicks. We've been talking about them really for the past hour. Do or die. Shake a leg or lose one. Crap or get off of the pot. Eastern Conference Finals or bust. My big question mark for the Knicks, I expect Cat to play well. I expect Jalen Brunson to play well. What are you going to get out of Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and some of the quote-unquote other guys? Jose Alvarado, Jordan Clarkson. That's going to be the difference maker for the New York Knicks. Number 4, the Boston Celtics. The closer we get to the postseason, it feels like my confidence in Boston is starting to wane a little bit just because I really like the depth that some of the other teams have. But an earlier caller called it and mentioned it, man. The other guys for Boston are going to be huge as well. But let's make no mistake about it, man. The Boston Celtics, if they're going to advance to the NBA Finals, Jason Tatum has to look like himself. I know I mentioned Peyton Pritchard and some of the other guys, Baylor Shireman, Sam Hauser. All that's cute. But if Jason Tatum doesn't act a fool, if Jason Tatum doesn't go Kanye crazy, the Boston Celtics aren't going anywhere. They come in at number 4 in my top 6 teams as we get geared up for the postseason. Number 3, the Denver Nuggets. Denver's interesting, man. It feels like everyone assumes they're going to get past Minnesota, and then listening to other folks, some of my colleagues, some of the other big shouty shows, everyone feels like in a 7-game series between the Joker and Wemby that they like the Joker. And if you look at the splits and the way that he's played against Wemby throughout the course of Victor's career to this point, I see why people feel that way. The big question for Denver, right? Aaron Gordon, since he's returned, has been a difference maker. Locks down on defense, has trained himself and turned himself into one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA all of a sudden. He's going to be a key impact player. But then let's be real here. Jamal Murray has had a all-NBA type of regular season. Can he continue it in the playoffs? That's been his story, though. Normally it's he's not that great during the regular season, and then boom, come postseason time, he's a totally different player. Will that be the case coming up this year? Because if he's able to play big, Denver's a tough out, man. Nikola Jokic, let's not sleep on it. Top 3 player in the world. Number 2 in the Super Six Pack, the San Antonio Spurs. I told you all earlier, no NBA player under more pressure heading into the postseason than Victor Wembanyama. I think I'm eager to see what he looks like with the uptick in minutes. Will his body be able to handle playing every other day? And then will he be the same type of player in the postseason? It gets more physical. The refs swallow their whistle. It's a little bit more bumping and grinding. How will Victor Wembanyama fare in that type of setting? And then number 1, the reigning, defending NBA champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. Not a whole lot of questions with OKC, if I'm being honest, right? We know what they are. We know what they bring to the table. What I'm eager to see when it comes to the Thunder, if we get, the Western Conference Finals matchup that I anticipate, meaning OKC versus San Antonio, is Chet Holmgren going to tuck his tail and play like a 5-letter word that starts with a P? Or is he going to show up and not act scared of Victor Wembanyama? That's the big question in terms of the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's going to do it, though, for No Super Six Pack. My top 6 teams heading into the NBA postseason. 6, the Pistons. 5, the Knicks. 4, the Celtics. 3, the Nuggets. 2, the Spurs. 1, the Thunder. We'll continue to take your calls here on Westwood One Sports Tonight. Which NBA star is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the postseason? We'll talk some NFL draft, too. Stick around. More Westwood One Sports Tonight next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Let the good times roll as we continue to take you coast to coast. Here on Westwood One Sports Night, youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, kicking it with you. Taking your calls at 310-840-4910. Talking text line wide open for you. It is the People's Show. You can tweet at me as well. Same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. We appreciate you locking into the program. However you choose to do so, you can listen on the AM and FM dial on one of our over 200 plus affiliates out there nationwide. You can check out the live stream via YouTube, via X on YouTube. Just search Westwood One Sports Night on X. It is at NELL_BTP. A lot more to get to, and we're going to get into the National Football League coming up here momentarily as one of the top defensive prospects in the draft had a off-the-field story pop up, and the timing couldn't have been any worse. We'll tell you how it impacts his draft status as we roll throughout the show. Plus, in about 20 minutes, I'll tell you the NFL team that catapults themselves in the championship contender status with a strong first round coming up here on Thursday night. 310-840-4910. We're taking your calls and reading your texts on the NBA player that's under the most pressure as we get geared up for the postseason. I'm telling you, it's Victor Wembanyama, and I love the Greek Freak as much as the next man does, but I got to call a spade a spade. John wants to check in. John, what's going on, brother?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, LW.
I appreciate
I'm a
you,
first-time caller. I just got to say, the slow and motion Lakers are not out of it. We got King James, and he has to step up, and nobody's talking about him. They're the best.
Because why would anyone talk about the Lakers? Can I be honest here? Why would anyone seriously give the Lakers a chance?
You know what? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the slowest man up the court. And
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played against plumbers and HVAC technicians and substitute teachers in New Jersey gas station pumpers. I mean, we got to get real. We got to get real. John, I appreciate you, man. I mean, I can only hear so much on the Lakers. And y'all know how I feel about LeBron James, greatest player of all time, my favorite player of all time, greatest athlete of all time. Lakers don't got a chance in hell. No Luka and no Austin Reeves. You expect LeBron to hop in the time machine? The days of LeBron being able to win and carry teams as the offensive engine is over. He cannot be the number one player on a championship team at this point. And that's the irony about the opening round series against the Houston Rockets. Neither can Kevin Durant. Neither can Kevin Durant at this current juncture in his career. 310-840-4910. Carl is in Atlanta. Wants to check in. What's going on, Carl? Welcome in to Westwood One Sports.
All right, thank you. I think Carl Anthony Towns is the man that's under most pressure. This is his second year, and it's time for him to show up. I think he showed up a little, but not as much as he can. And like you said, Jalen's always going to show up. And by the way, I think the Hawks can beat him.
So are you a Hawks fan?
Without a doubt. Season ticket holder.
So that means you even got some skin in the game. So you are a real deal Hawks fan. Here's my thing about Atlanta. I guess what you don't know won't hurt you. The old adage is, you don't know no better, right?
Okay.
That's how I feel about the Hawks, man. Like, people are gonna knock them for their lack of experience, but I think having C.J. McCollum and having Nickeil Alexander Walker, those guys have been in the fire before. So I am eager to see what Atlanta looks like. I just don't know. I just don't know if I can trust them, man. But to say that they don't have a shot probably would be overstating it. Like they're a team that's got talent. I just question whether or not they're young guys, whether or not the lights will be too bright for them. That's the big question.
I understand. But I'm excited. So
you
anyway,
should be, man. Plenty of reason to be excited if you're a Hawks fan. I appreciate the call. 310-840-4910. We're gonna get into the NFL coming up here after this last call. Johnny is in Atlanta. Wants to check in. What's going on, Johnny?
What's going on? First of all, I'm going to say Detroit is fool's gold. They get put out in the first round to play against Orlando or Philly. Like you said, they have no other score. So Orlando's been in the fire. Philly's been in the fire. Nobody from Detroit team has been in the fire. And the player that got the most approved, you said his name. To me, it's Kevin Durant. He been bouncing around team to team. They traded a lot. They gave up a lot for him in Houston. So he got to at least win 2 or 3 series, man. He got to win. So that's who got the most.
It's tough,
man. Approved right there.
I hear everybody. Go ahead.
They gave up a lot for you. They gave up a lot for Kevin Durant to take him past what they got last year. So now if they don't get past this first round, not even the second round, they wasted it. They put their organization back because they gave up Jalen Green. Jalen Green was a young superstar. So if Kevin Durant, especially if they lose to the Lakers, but I doubt that. But
yeah, I doubt that too. Here's the thing I would say about Houston and their long-term outlook. I expect them to be near the top of the list in terms of potential Giannis Antetokounmpo destinations coming up this summer. Yeah. They still have enough young pieces to put together a package that should be able to entice Milwaukee. Maybe let
me cut you off when you get a chance.
Go ahead.
You want them to give up more young pieces for older players who's been beat up. That does not make no more sense.
They have so many young guys, though. They're missing Fred VanVleet. You're telling me if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you're not taking a package centered around Jabari Smith and Reed Shepherd and Tari Eason? You're not willing to take that package? Or I'm more inclined to keep Tari, in my opinion. I would give up Sengun. Maybe you give up less if you got to give up Sengun, because I don't think he's a winning player.
Yeah, I agree with you. Bucks should take that. But why would Houston do that? To have Fred VanVleet, who's old,
Giannis Kevin Durant?
Giannis? Man, Kevin Durant and Giannis will not be on the court.
That's the big question that I think a lot of folks would have. How healthy would that group be able to be? I appreciate the call, Johnny. 310-840-4910 is the number. Let's get into the National Football League. Ruben Bain, who is one of the top defensive prospects in the NFL draft, under an immense amount of scrutiny after some information that came out yesterday. 2026 NFL prospect was involved in an auto accident in 2024 in which the passenger later died because of injuries sustained in the crash. Bain cited for careless driving for the accident that occurred at 4 a.m. local time in March of 24 in northbound in Miami. So the crash alleges that Bain was driving a Land Rover SUV that had 3 other passengers, including 2 former Hurricane players, and then a 22-year-old Georgia woman. The crash ended up killing the 22-year-old Georgia woman, Destiny Betts. Her parents came out over the weekend and released a statement saying they do not want this situation to end up resurfacing. They're trying to move past it, and they wish Ruben Bain the best in his professional endeavors moving forward. Here is the bottom line when it comes to this Ruben Bain situation. Here is where I stand on things, right? First and foremost, I know how I feel. Everybody is entitled to a second chance at life. I always feel that way. I'm a big proponent of, giving people, the opportunity to correct behavior and so on and so forth. I feel that way about Ruben Bain. Here's the other thing. It's come out here today that a lot of NFL teams, Brad Holmes of the Lions has spoke out about it, a lot of NFL teams were aware that this situation, this incident had happened. A lot of people were aware of it. Some people out there feel like this incident, in combination with the short arms, a lot of people feel that this is going to cause Ruben Bain to slide in the draft. I'm telling you all, this is what's crazy. When we look at these mock drafts, these are projections, right? A lot of the times we don't truly know how an NFL franchise feels about a particular prospect until we get to draft season. I'm telling you, trust my word when I say this. The NFL talent evaluators aren't worried about Ruben Bain and this off-the-field incident. NFL talent evaluators aren't worried about Ruben Bain in his arm length. This brother is the second best defensive prospect in this class, short arms or not. The production, the tape speaks for itself. He is a damn bowling ball full of butcher knives rolling downhill. The violence that he plays with in terms of using his hands to strike, the knockback that he gets, the get off that he has, his ability to lock out and set the edge and keep the outside arm free. He's got everything you want in a defensive end. And the hell with the measurables. Watch the tape. Watch the tape. He whipped ass throughout the course of his college career at the University of Miami. Plays the run well, gets after the quarterback well, has got tremendous bend. His ability to convert power or speed to power, rather, is second to none. If he gets up in you with them violent-ass hands that he has, you can talk about how short his arms are all you want. They're short and compact. His two hands are weapons. The way he uses his arms to club and strike and knock the hands down of offensive linemen, there is no better defensive line prospect in this class than Ruben Bain. And there's only one defensive prospect in the class that's better than him, period, and that's Sonny Styles from Ohio State. Ruben Bain is the real deal. Do not overthink it. Do not overthink it. Here's the thing. It hasn't been talked about. People aren't mocking it. People aren't projecting it. If you think that Ruben Bain isn't in the conversation for the second overall pick with the New York Jets, you're not thinking hard enough. Sorry, premium position, legitimate edge rusher. Miss me with the measurables. Miss me with the short arms. Watch the tape. He is nasty, physical, violent. It's everything that Aaron Glenn and company should want in New York with the Jets. If you're number 3 overall with the Cardinals, how do you look at Ruben Bain and not say, yup? If you're the Cardinals, think about what matters for you. You need a first-round pick that's going to come in here and set the tone for who you want to be moving forward. You need a first-round pick that's going to set the tone for what your organization is going to be about. Ruben Bain embodies all of that. He is a real deal individual. Point blank, he is a football player through and through. There is no way in hell Ruben Bain falls outside of the top 10. If he does fall out of the top 10, NFL evaluators, shame on you. Bottom line, there is no scenario. I don't care about the off-the-field incident that the teams know about, people. Newsflash, they know more than reporters. I don't think that causes his draft stock to fall. And I don't think the arm length causes his draft stock to fall. I guarantee you he goes within the top 10. And if he doesn't, there are going to be 31 teams out there that regret their decision to not draft this young man. I'd take him in Washington at 7 overall. I'd take him in Cleveland, going opposite of Myles Garrett at 6 over. You can make the argument every team should be wanting to add a guy like this to your roster. Every team should be wanting to add a football player like this to your group. He makes everyone around him better just because of the type of character young man he is and the way that he plays the damn game. So don't overthink it with Ruben Bain. I felt bad, man. I did. Because for this to come out, it almost made me think, the cynic in me started to think, you know what? Maybe this is a situation where teams are starting to hear the rumors and Ruben Bain's going to end up shooting up these draft boards. Because I think the media and the mocks that they put out sometimes are way, way off in terms of how the media feels about a player between how NFL talent evaluators feel about the player. That's what I think is happening with Ruben Bain. I think the media members are picking him apart for the arm length. I think the talent evaluators turn on the tape and go, I need that Bama. I need him in my building. He's got everything you want. I'm telling you. selfishly, I get to talk about my Commanders. I got to think about my Commanders. He's one of the guys that's at the top of the list for me. If you're asking me, do I want Reuben Bain or Caleb Downs, give me Reuben Bain. If you're asking me, do I want Reuben Bain or David Bailey, give me Reuben Bain. The other part and the other piece of Bain's game that I think is not being talked about enough, and it's kind of flying under the radar here, his ability to kick inside and rush over the guard in sub packages, I think is the difference. That's what really makes me go, yup, he's a 4-down, 3-down player. He don't ever got to come out the damn game. He can set a hard edge for you at your 5 technique on third downs, or excuse me, on first and second down, and then on third down and obvious passing downs, you can kick him inside, line him up outside shade of the guard, line him up head up over the guard. Hell, you can line him up as a damn 3-tech. He'll figure it out. Or the 2-eye, he'll figure it out. The kid is just a football player. When you have violent hands at the defensive line spot the way that Reuben Bain does, it don't matter how short your damn arms are, people aren't going to want to block you. Point blank, you got to make a decision. Damn. And I'm telling you, I'd have been in that phone booth. That's what a damn offensive line, defensive line game is like. It's a fight in the phone booth. And in that phone booth, when it's January and it's cold outside and it's the middle of the third quarter and this Bama been clubbing you over the wrist all game long and it's minus 10 degrees outside and that forearm's getting purple and it's starting to hurt, you're going to have to make a decision. Do I want to keep blocking Reuben Bain or not? He is the dude that I think is going to impose his will on NFL offensive linemen, and I'm telling you, I get jacked up thinking about it. It makes you want to rip my shirt open talking about Reuben Bain because he's my type of guy. That's the type of attitude that I want my favorite team's players to play with. So Adam Peters, Lance Newmark, somebody out there in the Burgundy and Gold organization, if you're riding around right now late night listening to the most fastest rising national sports radio show in the country, Westwood One Sports Night, take a word from your boy. Reuben Bain to DC, I need it. I need it. 310-840-4910 is the number. I want to keep things on the National Football League. I want to keep things on the NFL. There is one NFL team that I think turns into an instant title contender with a strong NFL draft. I'll tell you who that is next.
Who is the best edge rusher in the draft? Ohio State's Arvell Reese or Texas Tech's David Bailey? They're both expected to go in the top 5. You ready for this? The NFL Draft is next week. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Party continues, man. Still kicking it to you as we take you coast to coast. Here on Westwood One Sports Night. Youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, manning the ship for you. We'll take your calls and texts at 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me as well. Same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. I got Taj Wilson hitting us up in the YouTube chat. You can do so as well. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. This is in reference to what I said at the end of the last segment. Rip your shirt. He got you on Incredible Hulk. You damn right. You damn right. It's how I feel. It's how I feel about edge rush prospect Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain has me in a tizzy. Ruben Bain may be my man crush of the 2026 NFL draft. Him and Sonny Styles, dog. Sonny Styles, I'll give you 3. Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love, Ruben Bain. Woo! Those dudes are going to be somebody in this league. Those dudes have all-pro potential. With Ruben Bain, man, I know what the conversation has been. Right? I know what the conversation has been. Can I challenge you all? Go look up some highlights. You can Google it, man. Put it on YouTube. Put it on YouTube. Go to TikTok. TikTok may be the best spot if I'm keeping it 8 more than 92 with you. If you don't got a long attention span, go to TikTok, look up Ruben Bain highlights. Man amongst boys. Put it in wax. Nobody plays the defensive end spot. Nobody plays defensive line more violently than Ruben Bain. You watch the movie Friday. You know, Pop said, you see these? You win some and you lose some. When it comes to Ruben Bain, ain't no losing when he's using his hands. Bottom line. The NFL draft is a spot on the NFL calendar where all 32 fan bases are extremely optimistic. It's a spot on the NFL calendar where all 32 fan bases feel like, hey, we got a legitimate shot here to take this thing over the top, to take this thing over the edge. There is one team, in my opinion, that if they knock the first round out of the park, if they leave Thursday night of the NFL draft, if they leave it victorious, they will enter legitimate championship contender status and territory. They'll be in that conversation. There's one team that if they knock the draft out of the park, if they knock round 1 out of the park, they'll have to be considered a championship contender in the National Football League. That team for me is the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, to me, with their first round picks, 2 of them, if they're able to knock the first round out of the park, if they're able to really fix and redo their secondary with their 2 first-round picks, they got a legitimate shot, man. They got a legitimate shot to take this thing to another level. Let me go back to what they did in free agency because I was a fan of that as well. Jalen Thompson, 3-year, $33 million deal from the Arizona Cardinals, one of the more underrated, slept-on safeties in all of the National Football League. I loved that move for Dallas. They then go out and make the trade to acquire Rashawn Gary. So think about it, people, right? Think about it, but don't think too hard, is what I will say. Look at what Dallas all of a sudden is boasting up front within their front 7. Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Donovan Ezeraku, Sam Williams. They're dudes there on his defense, man. Their big question is the secondary. And the Dallas Cowboys are armed with the number 12 overall pick and the number 20 overall pick. Rumor has it that the Dallas Cowboys have aggressively been trying to trade up to get into the top 10. If I'm Dallas, man, I stick and pick at 12 and 20. Get me 2 more impact starters for this defense, and we're going to have to start talking about Dallas as a Super Bowl contender. This offense last year was a Super Bowl caliber group. Dak Prescott played the quarterback position at a Super Bowl caliber level. Their only issue resides on defense. If they fix that at picks 12 and 20, watch the hell out. And can I tell you the dream scenario? If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're praying like hell. Fingers are crossed. Jerry's burning sage, walking around the war room. You're hoping like hell that Caleb Downs falls to 12. If Caleb Downs falls to 12 and Dallas adds that to their defense, and then at number 20 overall, say you take a Chris Johnson out of San Diego State, now you cooking with gas if you're the Dallas Cowboys. Now you cooking with gas if you're the Dallas Cowboys. Or I'll give you another combination. Say it's Ruben Bain that ends up falling. Take him. There's so many different options. Say it's Mansour Delane, who's available at 12. Say that it's Jermod McCoy, who's available at 12. The options are endless if you're Dallas because of what you need. What you need is in this NFL draft. You can get it with your 2 first-round picks, but you got to be diligent. You got to knock it out of the park. But how can you not look at Dallas and what they have in terms of draft capital and go, hey, man, if they knock the draft out the park, there's so many guys. You can end up with Mansour Delane, Jermon McCoy, Avion Terrell, Colton Hood, Brandon Cease, Chris Johnson. I feel like they need more of an outside guy. But Keontae Scott is a really, really good football player. I wouldn't hesitate on drafting him. D'Angelo Pons, tough as a $2 steak. Somebody else that's more of a slot corner, but can come in here and really help you out. Here's another scenario. Here's my hot take. Maybe some people will call it a hot take. I don't think it is. Everybody's drooling over Caleb Downs, rather, right? To me, I think the better value, instead of taking Caleb Downs within the top 10 or the top 7, I think the better value is taking Toledo safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren in the middle of the first round. At pick, if I was Dallas, bro, I'd take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at 12 overall, dog. I think that's got to be their combination. They should be looking to go corner safety with these 2 first-round picks. And if they add those players, y'all, why is this not a championship contender? Why? 310-840-4910. You tell me. My only hiccup and concern about Dallas is, first of all, their tight end, Jake Ferguson. He's dating one of the Cavinder twins. So shout out to him. Shawty's never not having a good time. I envy him. He's dating one of the Cavinder twins. He's doing sandwich reviews on TikTok. I worry about that. But in all sincerity, the real thing that I worry about with the Cowboys offense, are you going to get George Pickens signed to an extension? Are they going to figure out their relationship with George Pickens? Because if they don't, that could be a big problem as well. I think the Dallas Cowboys, though, are 2 good first-round picks away for being a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the NFC. Book it. 310-840-4910. I mentioned the Toledo safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. He's a guy that Daniel Jeremiah, one of my favorite draft analysts, he's a guy that Daniel Jeremiah has fallen in love with. He's a guy that Daniel Jeremiah is putting his reputation on the line for. And here's the thing about Toledo and what they've produced in the secondary over the past couple of years. Quinyanamo Bay, right? Out in Philadelphia. Quinyon Mitchell. Played where? Toledo. So I say you dip back in that well. Obviously, they don't know how to coach that position out there. Obviously, they know how to coach the secondary out at Toledo. That would be, I'm telling you, that's going to be the dude. Remember the name. I know for some guys, some of you out there, it's late at night. You might forget. Don't ever forget about Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell had 17 passes defense this past year. You know how crazy that is? To have that many PBUs. He is one of the best corners in the NFL already, and he's only in year number 3. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I look at what my Eagles brethren did. I dip back in that well, and I get busy. I get down, I turn in the card, and I take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren with the 12th overall pick. But here's the thing. When it comes to Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, it's not him over everybody, right? Like if Mansour Delane drops, you take Mansour. If Jermon McCoy drops, you take him. But if those 2 dudes are off the board when you get to 12, I'm taking Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, man. You need another impact guy like that. Him and Jalen Thompson roaming around for you at the safety spot. Woof. That's what you need. Or I was going to say maybe they draft 2 corners, but they got Deron Bland. You have Siobhan Revel that you have coming back from injury. They had the kid out of Wake Forest. I'm blanking on his name. The kid out of Wake Forest that they were pretty high on last year. Kalen Carson. So there are some dudes there in Dallas. The question is for Dallas, is the pass rush going to be consistent enough? That's why I'm like, man, they're a team. Jonathan Grenard is still out there in terms of like the Vikings have made it known, hey, he's available for trade. You can come get him. If I'm Dallas, I would strongly consider going out and getting a guy like that. I still think they could use some help off the edge. Would I do it with one of my 2 first-round picks? If Ruben Bain is there, yeah. I'm not going to reach, though, for like a Keldrick Falk or a Cassius Howell at that point. I'm just not if I'm the Cowboys, man. Those dudes are more of like projects. They need a ready-made dude. Akeem Messidor would be interesting at 20. I don't know if he lasts that long, though. T.J. Parker at 20 would be interesting. I don't know if he lasts that long, though. But the rumor is, and it's what we started off the segment with, the rumor is that the Dallas Cowboys have been working the phones. The rumor is that the Dallas Cowboys have been calling around to other teams to figure out, hey, you want a tango? Hey, do you want to make a deal? So you're not trading up for Sonny Styles, right? You're not trading up. You're trading up for either an edge or a corner. I'm eager to see if they end up pulling the trigger on that potential move. 310-840-4910 is the number. Let's go to James in Baltimore who wants to check in. What's going on, James? Welcome into Westwood One Sports Night.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's going on?
First off, you from D.C.?
I'm from D.C. for sure.
I knew you was, but not because you said you was a Skins fan. That I ain't. But when you was like, man, when you said Bama, I said, yeah, he's from out there. That's how that gave it away. But you was talking about Ruben Bain and saying evaluators don't care, but man, they do, bro. Like GMs for sure care. Like as a Ravens fan, I'm not saying he gonna fall because this draft really ain't that kind of draft where a player his stats are going to drop. It don't really seem like there's a lot of things that's going. But as a Ravens fan, Tyler Linderbaum fell to us in the back of the first round, was considered one of the best linemen in the nation. Teams passed on him because he had short arms. 4 years later, Raiders just gave him $27 million. I'll give you 2 more examples. We got Kyle Hamilton that same year at 14. He was a consensus top 4 draft pick, but his 40 measurements and he didn't kill at the combine.
But here's the thing about center. Here's the thing about center and safety. They're not premium positions.
All right, what about Lamar Jackson? He should have been a slam dunk number 1 overall pick. He fell to us all the way to 32.
Well, the NFL's racist. They tried to make the brother damn wide receiver. We know why Lamar didn't get drafted.
But I'm just saying, all right, Ray Lewis fell to us to 28 because they said he was small.
It happens. I'm saying this. You still haven't listened to premium position. When you're an edge, I think you're able to deal with and you put some of the stuff to the side in terms of if you're an evaluator, man. I think you turn on the tape and you watch Ruben Bain and you watch those violent-ass hands club somebody upside the head. I'm telling you, want that. Ravens fans, you got to be
I would love to get him at 14.
I don't think he falls to 14. I think y'all need to take the guard out of Penn State, man. Y'all need to continue to improve the offensive line. Yeah, y'all need to continue to improve the offensive line. I think Baltimore, they're so interesting, man, because, they got talent. And now that we know Matty BK is coming back, I like the pass rush.
Do we? Hey, let me before you tell me go ahead and all of that. What you think about Sadiq, bro? The tight end.
Hey,
you think
man.
you like that, or?
So here's the thing about Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah, give me
I can see. Kenyon Sadiq is a throwback tight end. He's like Shannon Sharp, man. Vernon Davis in terms of he's not super tall, but boy, he runs after the catch. Right, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So he's in that mold. I think there are teams out there that may look at Kenyon Sadiq in a weaker wide receiver class. Hear me out.
Yeah.
In a weaker wide receiver class, there may be teams out there that go, I think Kenyon Sadiq's got a higher ceiling as a pass catcher turning into a tight end than I do of the other wide receivers. So I can see Kenyon Sadiq being a top 10 pick when it comes to the NFL draft. He is the real deal. I'm just curious to see who pulls the trigger on him. It may be one of these receiver needy teams.
I like, and another thing too, because I'm not really sure. I would probably trust your analysis more on this because I see you know your stuff when it comes to college. But what's up with the boy Mekhi Lemon from USC, man? You think he
so it's so crazy.
Like that, or?
Okay, hear me out when I say this because you could probably pick up what I'm putting down here. Everybody keeps comparing him to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Here's the difference. They played similarly, right? Slot, fearless going over the middle. Here's the difference between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Mekhi Lemon. John St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown's father was not playing that, Slim. I'm telling you. He was somebody that's going to put his foot up your ass. He had it. They knew since they was 11, 10 years old that they was going to the NFL. He had him training. It's different. Amon-Ra's wired differently. I don't know about Mekhi Lemon, but I do know this.
I got something short. He got something about him.
You put him in space. You put him in space. He gets boogie. He gets jiggy with it. I appreciate the call, though, bro. 310-840-4910 is the number. Can you tell that I'm eager for the NFL draft? Can you tell that I'm ready for the NFL draft? I want your calls. I told you the Cowboys were my choice for the NFL team that turns into a title contender with a strong draft. Who is your choice? Which NFL team do you think turns into a title contender with a strong draft coming up this week or next week? 310-840-4910 is the number. We'll take your calls on that, plus bring you a fresh installment of Say What, the most highly anticipated audio vault in all of sports talk radio. That's next here on Westwood One Sports Night.
How high is too high to draft a running back? Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love may be the best player in the NFL draft, but is he a generational talent worth picking in the top 5? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Westwood One Sports Night continues as we take you coast to coast, bring you the latest and greatest in the world of sports. Number to hit us up on the talk and text line, 310-840-4910 is the number. 310-840-4910 is the number. We're going to have Chris Miles join the program coming up here momentarily as we continue to talk about the NBA postseason. Super eager to catch up with him and have that conversation. One of the most plugged-in guys in the industry when it comes to the NBA. Somebody that, you know, the NBA relies on to go out and scout some of the young high school talent that's going to be coming into the college ranks. So Chris Miles is plugged in as it gets when it comes to the NBA. 310-840-4910 is the number if you got any calls on the NFL. Topic that we're chewing on the NFL is this. Which NFL team with a strong draft do you think catapults themselves into contender status? My answer for that was the Dallas Cowboys. As we continue to wait for your calls to file in, I want to hurry up and get to it. Couple of audio clips for you coming up in the world's most highly anticipated audio vault in sports radio. Say what?
They are who we thought they were. We in here. The biggest names in sports step up to the mic.
The guy is drunk. You have got to be smoking.
The best audio in the world of sports.
There's a drive in deep left field by Castellanos. It will be a home run.
Okay, let's get into it here. Luka Doncic, a guy who the Lakers need for the NBA postseason. We got an update on his health and his status for the opening round from Shams earlier today. Take a listen.
The Sixers are preparing to be without Joel Embiid for the play-in tournament that starts on Wednesday. There will be a potential game on Friday.
Let's cut that one. Let's cut that one. Shams spoke about Luka Doncic and his impending return to the United States after he went out and got treatments out in Spain. His health is something that I know we have talked about ad nauseum on this show. I think it's important more so for the fact that the Lakers need to know what their long-term future looks like. You want to see him, Austin Reeves, and LeBron on the floor together. Shams with an update on where Luka stands in terms of his status for the postseason.
And DG, all eyes, of course, will be on the health of Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. I'm told that Luka Doncic is traveling back to the United States from Spain later this week and rejoining the Lakers on Friday. But over the last week in Spain, the majority of that time, he's been getting treatment on that hamstring. He's had multiple injections as well to see, can he promote healing? Can he quicken the timeline of his return? It is a grade 2 hamstring strain. And on the other side, Austin Reeves, grade 2 oblique strain. Initially, in early April, his timeline was 4 to 6 weeks. That would put him out at minimum the first week of May. And so both of these guys going into the playoffs, there's an expectation that they will be sidelined for an indefinite period of time. Just how soon? They're both obviously trying to get back ASAP.
Well, if Luka is out till the first week of May, they're screwed. Even if he's not, they're screwed. The thing about the Lakers, I keep saying, it's not about this year. I wanted, and I know they wanted to see their big three in the postseason together with Austin Reeves and Luka playing at this level together on the floor. I mentioned the NFL draft coming up just 9 days away. Dan Orlovsky has been pretty bullish on Ty Simpson. He told Ross Tucker why he has concerns about Fernando Mendoza. Take a listen.
I would tell you, like, the stuff that has given me reservation is, one, so much of the offense was declared pre-snap. You know, when you watch their games, one of my notes overwhelmingly is like, why does everybody just play them in man, it feels like? I just, here comes man, here comes all out man. Like, even if you go to the Iowa comeback, like, that's the moment with Pat, and I say, what big games? Like, that was a literal question. And I go to the Iowa game, and that he throws an interception, Ross, late in the game on an all-out pressure seam route. Safety crosses the receiver's face, blitz. They get the ball back, I think, in a couple snaps. They're down. Iowa plays, I think, like 6 out of the 7 snaps, man coverage in the same way.
Dan Orlovsky's speaking my language, man. I've been saying this for months about Fernando Mendoza. First of all, the solution is going to be, if a team chooses to draft Mendoza, the Raiders are going to choose to draft him. They're going to have a lot of RPO stuff in their scheme because it's what he's most accustomed to doing, is what he did best. I keep saying it, man. What does he look like when it's not 75 and sunny? What does he look like when he on the tape, when you watch it? And I know y'all get on me about my Fernando Mendoza takes, but, like, just hear me out here. Dan O just mentioned it. On tape, there aren't a lot of examples of him making tight window throws against zone in the NFL. And that's what you're going to have to do to have success in this league. So when we talk about the projection, that type of stuff is more frequent on Ty Simpson's tape than it is Fernando Mendoza's. So don't shoot the damn messenger when I get up here and continue to tell y'all that Fernando Mendoza, the juice ain't worth the squeeze in terms of the number 1 pick. But I give the Raiders this credit. I may not be in love with him as the number 1 pick, but I don't know if a team in recent memory has done a better job insulating the young man that's going to be their franchise quarterback coming up. They got the offensive line together. They have the weapons offensively. You brought in Jalen Naylor. You got Brock Bowers. Defensively, you kept Max. You splurged on that side of the ball. We're going to see how quickly it's going to take for him to get acclimated to the NFL. Final hour of power comes your way next here on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
What up, good folks? Good morning to you. If you're on the way into the office, if you're just dropping the kids off at Before Care, we welcome you in. If you're listening to us live and you're burning the midnight oil on the East Coast, it's 2 a.m. Eastern time. Oliver, help me out here. What time is it on the West Coast? If it's 2 a.m. here, that means it's what, midnight? 11. Damn. The night is still young on the West Coast, baby, as we continue to take you coast to coast. Here on Westwood One Sports Night, youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, in the saddle with you. Our guy Oliver Popular behind the glass, taking your calls, 310-840-4910. Our guy Ben Strober producing the program here tonight. Make sure you check out his medium as well. If you're looking for some good Wizards content, host of the Locked On Wizards podcast. There's some clips going around today that are viral from Anthony Davis from the Wizards end-of-season presser. Our guy Ben Strober asking the hard-hitting questions out in the nation's capital. Wizards won't be a part of the NBA playoffs, but it's what we spent most of the night talking about. I said it several times to start the show. I'll reiterate it here again, man. There is no other postseason that is more consequential than the NBA postseason. If you do not reach expectations in the NBA playoffs, if you fail to meet the mark, something happens. Something's got to give. You either get fired, you either have coaches fired, players traded, so on and so forth. Just ask Tom Thibodeau in the New York Knicks. Ask Tibbs. So I want to reset things while we got a moment here in the final hour of the show. Appreciate you all locking in. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. We opened up the show with this, and I want to get back to it. I'm tired of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'll be very blunt, honest, and transparent about it. His act is starting to piss me off, honestly. What do I mean by his act? So yesterday, Giannis was speaking to a group of reporters. Eric Nem of The Athletic transcribed some pretty jaw-dropping quotes from Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I want to read some of those to you. Giannis admitting that the Bucks haven't offered him an extension, saying, quote, "Before we even talk about an extension, somebody got to offer me that. I don't wear the pants in my relationship. I got to ask my wife. If my wife says yes, yes. If she says no, no, it's up to her." This idea that your basketball future in Milwaukee is up to your wife, Giannis, stop bluffing, bro. Stop this. This good cop, bad cop act that you're trying to play is annoying. Honestly, it's really, really, really annoying. Point blank. If you want out of Milwaukee, then bounce, brother. The ball's been in your court for the entirety of this time. You've had every opportunity to bounce. Yet yesterday, when you're asked questions, you cop the police, so to speak. And here's what's so crazy about it. This is my tinfoil hat theory, so to speak, on how things have gone between Giannis and the Bucks. I think Giannis was pissed when Milwaukee told him he had to shut it down for the year. And I think as a result of that, Giannis said, you know what? Not only am I going to snitch to the NBA PA, I'm also going to tell Shams, come here, brother. Let me whisper in your ear and tell you something. I think that hit piece that came out last week, it was so damning to the organizational character of the Bucks that I highly doubt that it came from somebody within their camp. I think that's Giannis fully pulling the curtain back and saying, hey, look, this is what's happening over here. This is why I'm disgruntled. And Shams, as he should, he ran with it. And what I think is happening now is this. At first I think the Bucks were willing to trade Giannis wherever was the best situation for Giannis. I now think he gets dealt to the highest bidder. I think that bridge, that relationship has totally been burned. Here are some more Giannis quotes from his postgame yesterday. This is Giannis on if he's played his last game as a Buck. Quote, "I don't know. It's not up to me anymore. It's not up to me. We'll see." Giannis on the trade rumors entering this offseason. Quote, "Phone on Do Not Disturb. I feel like sometimes," and this is what's crazy, he says, "I feel like sometimes people just don't listen. They listen to the sources, and the main source is me. It is what it is." Well, brother, you're the most, man, Migos had a song back in the day. It was called Rich. It was on a mixtape called Rich Expletive Timeline. And they had a song called Wishy Washy. And if you listening out in Atlanta, you know about Wishy Washy. If you're listening anywhere and you're in the age demographic of like 25 to 32, you know about Wishy Washy. Giannis is wishy washy, man. You can't say that it's not up to you. You can't say that people need to just listen to you and you're the main source, because you give two different answers. In the public, you act as if, I don't know if I'm going to be here anymore. I don't know whether or not they're going to trade me. But whenever behind the scenes, you talk to Shams, you talk to the other reporters throughout the course of the league, you tell them you don't want to be here. You tell them my time in Milwaukee is done. I play for my family. I play for my wife. I play for my children, my kids. You say when you're healthy, you want to play. So clearly that's not Milwaukee for you, pal. Stop fronting, Giannis. You got to chill, brother, because I love you. I love the style that you play. I love the grit, the tenacity, the intensity. But the way you handle the media is a total joke. My Giannis impersonation is spot on, by the way. How do you think that I have expectations? How do I have expectations? Did Michael Jordan, when Michael Jordan failed in the playoffs, did you call him a failure? Did you label him failure? But when I lose in the playoffs, it's failure. I hate Giannis. I don't hate anybody, but Giannis is starting to really piss me off. We have some audio from Giannis, so you can compare my accent to his. Here is Giannis Antetokounmpo talking about Doc Rivers being fired yesterday.
I haven't heard it yet. It's a shock to me, but hey, he's had 25 years as a coach, incredible coach. Almost 15 years as a player. He's been in the NBA for 30, 40 years. He's definitely an NBA legend. As you guys know, he's a Hall of Famer. It's great working with him, but I haven't heard something like that, but I got to go call him. I got to go see if that's true.
And is it a shame that it hasn't, all the talent you guys have, it hasn't worked out, the way you guys had planned?
Yeah, it's definitely not a shame. I won't say shame. I'm not ashamed of anything, but definitely it's bad, man. It's definitely not how we wanted our season to be.
I have to go and call on him and check on him. It's news to me. Obviously, a Hall of Famer, 25 years as a coach. I have to go check on that's news to me. I'm tired of Giannis, though, bro. That whole act is tough. And it's, as I said earlier, Doc Rivers is nothing but a damn casualty in this situation. He one of the winningest coaches the NBA's ever seen. Yet this Giannis situation is smearing his reputation and smearing his resume. Uh-oh. My good brother on the line. Corey out in Baltimore checking in. Corey, what's going on, brother? I hope the weekend treated you well, my man.
Yeah. It did. Pretty good. Got to chill with the grandkids, you know what I'm saying? I got two of them for you. For one, man, let's just leave the Cowboys where they at, man. Every year,
hate the damn Cowboys, Corey.
Every year, man, there's always a player they missing, man. Just let it play out, man. I just let them play out. I'm tired of hearing about the Cowboys. Bad enough, man, I got to deal with the sadness of my sorry-ass Colts, man. But then to hear about the Cowboys, how many times they're a player away from going to the Super Bowl, man, I'm just tired of it. But Giannis, though, man, that dude right there, man, I just think that he's trying to save face. So when he made that comment about LeBron when he won that championship game, when he won a championship, when he just made it out, I don't know what the comment was, but it's sort of like he's not trying to, you know what I'm saying, join the super team. He did it from scratch.
Yeah. I remember.
He hasn't gotten back to that stature. So he has no choice but to save face and try to force his way out to join up with somebody. See, OKC, they set the standard when they did everything through the draft. That's why everybody is trying to team up now, because they can't compete with them guys, man. And the only way that he can get back to that stature if he teams up with another superstar. So I just think he's trying to save face by just keep making these little simple-ass comments in the media about pointing the finger at the Bucs. You could have been up out of that. You could have been up out of that before the summer.
This is my thing, though, Corey, and why I'm so annoyed with it. If you were being consistent, if Giannis was being consistent in his messaging and not saying one thing behind the scenes and then another in front of the cameras, I wouldn't have no problem with it. But he's doing this thing, as you put it. He's trying to save face. He's walking the tightrope. I think the old chestnut people use is have your cake and eat it too. And I don't want to hear that from Giannis, man.
Yes, sir.
He hadn't won a playoff series since 2022, man.
There it is. But you have a good morning, brother.
Yes, sir. Corey, I appreciate you as always, man. 310-840-4910 is the number here on Westwood One Sports Night. Chris Miles, NBA TV, going to join us coming up here momentarily. Final hour of power here on a Monday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night. Trying to figure it out, man. I got Taj Wilson typing at me in the YouTube chat. Says, Doc smearing? Come on. Doc is overrated as a coach. Cashed in one great year at Boston and had underachieved every place else. Boston, L.A., Philly, and now Milwaukee. And Taj, you know you're my man, brother. I don't get it when y'all hate on Doc Rivers. I don't get it. Because I'm looking it up here just to make sure. Like Doc Rivers is one of the greatest coaches the NBA has ever seen, is what's crazy about it, man. I can't argue. Excuse me. I can't argue with these numbers. He's 6th all time in NBA coaching wins. Does that not matter? Does that not matter to folks? Like you can talk about his shortcomings all you want. I get it, right? When you don't win the championship, you fell short. But dog, he's the real deal in the postseason, man. In terms of how many games he's won, those numbers aren't BS. Those numbers aren't made up. You know? He's had success. He's been to the top of the mountain. So to act as if he's some guy that doesn't deserve a job, I think is a total stretch. Let's go out to Twin out in Indianapolis wants to check in on Giannis. What's going on, Twin?
Hey, you got it, man. I just want to say Giannis is not a team player. He doesn't pass the ball. He tries to play every position on the floor. And you can't do that at that height. You got to get down there, get the rebound, kick it out. He's shooting threes. He's shooting in the forward, shooting in the guard. He's all over the place.
Man, Giannis is one of the greatest power forwards of all time, man. I can't agree with you on that. I appreciate the call, though. What the hell? I mean, come on. I give y'all a lot of credit for the calls that y'all come in and bring, but damn, Twin. I didn't agree with you at all. 310-840-4910 is the number here. Resetting things here. Biggest story of the night, Giannis continuing to play tiddlywinks is the best way that I could put it. When it comes to his relationship with the Milwaukee Bucks. His future is unclear in Milwaukee. I think he's going to be out of there. I don't see this marriage lasting much longer. But the fact that he's doing this passive-aggressive nonsense is just nuts. NBA postseason, though, gets underway tomorrow with the play-in tournament. I think the Timberwolves are the most dangerous team in the Western Conference. I think the Philadelphia 76ers, if Joel Embiid is healthy, is probably the most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference. And there's one team in the East that I think is under way more pressure than anyone else. It is finals or bust, Eastern Conference finals or bust for the New York Knicks. They got to get over the hump this year. And every time I think about them, right, when you look at their roster, 1 through 9, and the guys that they're going to play in the postseason, they're as deep as anybody on paper. They got to have their stars show up, and their role players got to come up big. I know that Cat and Jalen Brunson are going to give me what I need. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Jordan Clarkson, GTA, Jose Alvarado, those are the guys that got to step up for the New York Knicks. And if they're able to, right? If they're able to, I think the Knicks can go on a finals run. I really do. But it's going to be on the other guys. I know most people are saying, what, Linnell, it's on Cat, bro. It's on Cat? Yeah, it's on Cat. That's the low-hanging fruit. Of course it's on Cat. But who I really need to step up is the other guys. Anunoby, Bridges, Josh Hart. If they do that, Knicks are going to be a tough out. There's a player, a star, one of my favorite players in the league right now, probably my number one favorite player in the league right now. He's going to make his playoff debut coming up this weekend, and he's the young man that has the most pressure on him in the playoffs as we get geared up for this NBA postseason. It's no other than Victor Wembanyama. What he did this year in 29 minutes per night, 25 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, a steal, 3 assists. Hey, it's great in the regular season, right? 36% from 3 on 6 attempts per night, 52% from the field. It's great when you do it. It's great when you do it in the regular season. What are you going to do in the postseason when your minutes get ratcheted up, right? When your minutes ratchet up, when you're in a situation where you're having to play every other game. That's what matters here. That's what matters here if you are Victor Wembanyama. Bottom line. That is what matters. And look, I think that's crazy. So someone's typing at me in the YouTube chat. OG Anunoby out at the moment. He didn't play in the regular season finale. OG Anunoby will be available for the playoffs. And if he's not, I'm stupid and know nothing. Y'all really think that because he got held out of the final game of the season, that he won't be back? His ankle injury is minor, and he's listed as day-to-day. Do your homework, brother. You watch more. Watch me more, and you'll get smarter here on Westwood One Sports Night. 310-840-4910 is the number. Jim is in Boston, wants to chime in. What's up, Jim?
Hey, Liddell.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm a fan of Doc Rivers, but if you look at his overall record, Liddell, it's not that good, especially with the teams that he's had. I mean, he's a couple hundred wins over 500 in the regular season, and he's 2 wins over 500 in the playoffs. How do you consider that good? That's just average.
He's got
the one championship with the Celtics,
and he's got a championship
with the best team that.
He had horrible injury luck, though. He had a horrible injury luck when he was in L.A. with the Clippers. We know how his time in Philadelphia went. Horrible injury luck. And then his time here with Milwaukee. Dame Lillard gets hurt last year. I think Doc, I agree, is a little overrated, but people are talking about him, and the conversation has turned into he doesn't deserve to be an NBA head coach, and people are talking about him like he's the worst coach in the damn NBA. That's way, way overstated, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I'm not saying he's, not over. He shouldn't be overstated, but I don't think he's top quality, like one of the best coaches in the league ever, just because he's got that many wins. Because he's also got that many losses, in my opinion.
I think it's a valid point. I appreciate the call as always. 310-840-4910 is the number. Big Nip hitting us up in the YouTube chat saying, Pistons, baby, your Pistons have no shot. Point blank. Maybe if they call me, I could be the second star for Cade Cunningham. We're going to introduce the second star to the program coming up next. Chris Miles of NBATV joins us next.
The NFL Draft is next Thursday, and we'll be backstage talking to the draft picks just minutes after getting selected. The biggest storylines, the news you need to know from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Party continues here on Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham. As promised, we're going to continue our conversation on the association by going out to the guest hotline where we find our pal Chris Miles, one of the best talking all things NBA.
So these two, and Jax Richardson, man.
Chris Miles, one of the absolute best from NBA TV, getting ready to hop on with us as we continue to take you coast to coast here on Westwood One Sports Night. Chris, one of the best in the business talking all things NBA.
So these two,
as we continue to go around the block here, taking you coast to coast, I feel as if this NBA postseason has a chance to maybe meet the excitement level and the intensity level of the NCAA tournament. And I got on here several different times and told you all that I thought the NCAA tournament was the best postseason in all of sports. And the NBA has a really big opportunity to match that intensity, to match, that drama, to match those theatrics. And I think they'll be able to do it. The big question is, and the big finger-crossing thing that we all should be doing, the thing that we should be crossing our fingers for, so to speak, health. It's the one thing that always seems to ruin the NBA playoffs, especially last year, seeing what happened to Tyrese Halliburton and seeing what happened to Jason Tatum Both of those two dudes suffering major season-ending injuries by way of the Achilles tear. Both of them unable to work their way back. Tatum was able to work his way back here towards the end of the regular season. We didn't let you hear it because I blanked on throwing the audio out. Tyrese Halliburton's dealing with shingles in his face. Let's get to our conversation with Chris Miles of NBA TV, one of the best talking all things NBA. Taking calls earlier on the biggest sleeper in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. I keep saying it, Chris, and this is where you always humble me every time I have you on my program, brother, because you shoot it to me straight. I keep saying it. I have questions about the Detroit Pistons, Chris, because in the NBA postseason, when the scouting report is more detailed and you really lock in, you know what teams are going to say. Make someone not named Cade Cunningham beat us. I don't think the Pistons have the ability to do that. Tell me why I'm wrong or why I'm right.
Well, I'm going to tell you why you're right in this sense. Last year, if you remember in the playoffs, we had those, game-winning shots and it coming down to the wire, and it was like Alec Burks to save them. You're like, what? Like, that's what do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's what you're relying on. You're relying on, like, an outside shooter not named Cade Cunningham. And so during the regular season, Dennis Jenkins has been the guy, right? That's like, oh, who is this unheralded guy that stepped up? I'm sorry, I don't trust that when I look at other rosters. And I've done a bit of research and talked to some people, right? And I can just give you names and kind of like the Cavs the other day, I spoke to some of their people, right? And I'm like, all right, man, like, how's it going with Harden? And they're like, man, he's such a vocal leader. Like, we didn't realize getting him, what that would do for our guys, because, Evan is soft-spoken, and Donovan kind of leads with action, and now we got a guy that's like, no, you need to be here. And I didn't realize how hard this man works. And I'm like, this is interesting because Harden has always been asked to carry the load offensively, right? Like, can you score? What are you doing in the big playoff games? Now with this team, it's like, just get us assists. Like, it's Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell that have that onus. So it's like, yeah, do I think the Pistons are going to get past the Knicks, the Cavs, the Celtics? That's asking a lot, man. Like, the East is better than people think.
Chris, I know this is where you're going to be like, all right, now, Linnell, you're taking it a step too far. I keep saying it. They better get on their hands and knees and pray that they don't see a healthy Philadelphia in round one, because that could be tough sledding for them in round number one if the Sixers are healthy. Now, I know that's a massive, massive if.
Sorry, I don't
now you're laughing me out.
Well, so here's the thing with the 76ers, because everyone says this to me. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Joel Embiid has never played 3 months straight of basketball in his entire life. And people are like, what? I'm like, no, man, even when he won the MVP, don't forget it was still a question of, like, did he play enough games to win MVP? Like, people were even doing that his MVP season. And I'm like, it's wild. To win like, you basically have to have a third of the season in the playoffs, right? Like, you got to play 3 months of hardcore basketball. I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and tap him out. Paul George looked good against bad teams, and he looked great. Let me say this. Paul George looked great against bad teams. Yeah, but I'm like, then against the good teams, he didn't look like Paul George. He looked, he kind of looked old and, like, not having that same level. But what I say is, all right, Maxey, okay, Edgecombe. Yeah. Like, how good is VJ Max going forward? I think if those two guys
is that the official nickname, Chris? Is that the official nickname, brother? I like that.
Hey, remember when you heard it first?
Right.
Just give me credit when you hear it. But I had VJ Edgecombe's high school games, and people thought I was out of my mind when I was like, "Hey, man, this kid's an equal prospect to Cooper Flagg." And they're like, what? I'm like, he plays winning basketball. You guys don't understand the pedigree, where he's from. I've seen them go head-to-head. Like, I would put him equal footing. And then people get caught up in a lot of stats, and I'm like, it's not even that. It's that he makes game-winning plays, and the playoffs are the perfect place for you to see that with him. So when it comes to the 76ers, to answer your question, it's VJ Max, and I'm like, what's the future of the 76ers? Those two guys, are they healthy? What are they doing in the playoffs? That's where I'm tapped in.
I'll make sure to tag you when I put it out on social media, Chris, because that's a hell of a nickname, brother. VJ Max. I can dig it, man. I agree with you, though. I remember when you first was telling me about VJ Edgecombe, we were talking about the draft in the summer, man. You were like, don't sleep on this kid. And the fact that Philly landed him, I thought it was a really good spot. That backcourt for years to come going to be giving the Eastern Conference hell. Speaking of the Eastern Conference, we were talking about the Detroit Pistons. We've mentioned the Philadelphia 76ers. We got to talk about your New York Knicks, Chris. What's going on, man? Is this the year that they get over the hump? I keep saying this, and this is why I think they're better than Detroit. All of a sudden, right, this is a pretty deep New York Knicks basketball team. I love what Jose Alvarado has brought to the table. I think there's a toughness that he adds with them. But the big question is for them is which version of the kitty cat are you going to get in the NBA postseason? They've been up and down this year. And their opening round matchup is probably going to be against, Toronto or Atlanta. I would think that they advance past the first round, but I don't know if I can trust them beyond that. What is your thoughts on the New York Knicks right now?
So I was looking at that the other day. If it's Toronto, go ahead and shut. The Knicks are going to mollywop the Raptors if they're facing them, right? Like, that's the only matchup where I look at it like, oh, the Knicks got them easy. Now, I say that, and that would be when the Knicks fall short, right? Like, that would be the series of that. But let's look past that, to your point. I think there are a couple of cultural things that have changed from the Knicks from last year to this year that I think benefit them. Mm-hmm. The first is Karl Anthony Towns with that terrible interview, Saturdays at Gaucho's Gym, and when he just was lying. I don't know why he was saying that.
Hey, Chris, that was the last time we had you on. You brought that up. That is hilarious, by the way.
But because it affected me in a way where I'm like, hold on, man, we need a slap box with this guy. What's going on? He's never, like, what is going on? Yeah. But here's what I'm saying. Who has been in those gyms, who knows all about that, Christ the King graduate, Grand Theft Alvarado, right? So you bring him culturally into the fold. When I say everybody knows Jose Alvarado around the way, you talk about a New York City guy. Man, I was like, hey, I went to Gaucho's Gym actually, and I was like, oh, you know Jose? And Fat Hector was like, Jose, that's my youngin. Blah blah blah. I remember we was.
That's how you know you plugged in when you talking Fat Hector, man.
Hey man, you can look him up. His name's Hector George. You can Google him. But Fat Hector was like, hey man, yeah, that's my young boy. And everybody had a Jose Alvarado story. Yeah. And I don't know how much of it is true, how much of it is fake, whatever, but everyone knew the kid, right? And I'm talking just like the Champagny twins. I go and
not to be played with.
Dad, and I'm like, hey man, they're from Bishop Loughlin. And I was like, oh, and then their dad was like, I went to St. John's with your boy, Rod. And I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about. My man's pops is super Jamaican, and he's like, yeah, I know you, blah, blah, blah. There's none of that with Karl Anthony Towns, right? So all I'm saying is the Knicks have that fixed because Karl Anthony Towns can't do that anymore in that locker room, right? Like, they're going to chin check him real quick. Yeah. There's enough people around. So I think what you saw when Alvarado came, there was a little bit of more actual toughness in Towns. You know, there's the image of him bleeding and he's stopping all that Hollywood stuff, right? And I think it's really good for the Knicks. And also, obviously, under Mike Brown, all these other guys that could play basketball are playing. Porty, right? Like, Tyler Kolek was playing during the regular season. The guy they drafted that was like a second-round pick, I can't remember his name right now, but plays all the multiple positions. Like, is he a point forward? Like, they just got everyone getting on the court and getting an opportunity. And I think fresher legs for the guys that play more and being ready for the postseason for the other guys on the team. I think all of that is better this year for them.
Are they going to be able to handle Boston in round two? That's the matchup here that everyone's going to be looking at. I believe that's the way that it would go.
Man. I don't think so, and here's why. Yeah. Remember, when Tatum tore his Achilles, the Knicks were up in that game. They were up in the series. Like, that was probably done already. But Jaylen Brown, a bad man, isn't he?
I'm telling you, bro. Hey.
Look, and now that I know that God Sham God Jr. has been working out with him for 2 years.
Got the left, right.
And look, I was with the Spurs a lot this season. And that game in Boston, when he went off about the referees. I mean, I'm sitting there courtside. I'm hearing him seeing some of the shots he made in that game, and he looks like stronger. Like he looks bigger and stronger. Like he's always been cut up.
He's always been cut up, right?
But
exactly.
he's got some. But now he looks like he's bigger, And I'm like, man, I don't know, man. Hopefully OG Anunoby got something for that. But if he doesn't, man, we in trouble against him.
No, for sure, man. And I'm glad that you gave him his flowers. This was supposed to be a gap year for Boston, dog. One, it's made me appreciate Jaylen Brown and his greatness. I hope people stop talking reckless about him. And then, Chris, I feel like you was probably one of the first people to put me on to Joe Mazzulla, too. Like, Slim could coach. Like, he is well respected for his X's and O's. He's a crazy ass behind the scenes. And I think there's a toughness that they play with because of him. And they haven't made a three-point shot they don't like. So I rock with Boston a lot too, man.
Yeah, and I think with Joe Mazzulla, there's a crazy eyes look, right? He just has that intensity to him that I just think NBA head coaches, not to get the respect from the play, but just to be successful, you gotta be a little crazy, or you gotta be obsessed. Like there has to be some of that with you. And it's authentic with him. Yeah. It's like one of those things where, this is who he is. Like, he's going to go at it 100,000% and be that guy. So, I think that's tough because Mike Brown has the other part to him, right? Where I'm like, I don't know, man. Joe Mazzulla might run laps around him coaching.
Might eat his lunch, young. Yeah. I feel you. But the key that you mentioned with Joe that I think everybody in Boston loves is the authenticity. This isn't no facade. This is real. This is who he is, man. And anytime John Wall gets on the TV and talks about that time that West Virginia beat Kentucky, I think it adds more to his credibility. He's the real deal, though, man. I'm really high on the Boston Celtics. Chris Miles of NBA TV joins us right now as we get geared up for the NBA postseason. Final day of the regular season is upon us. We go from the East to the big, bad Western Conference. I feel like I'm just been giving you flowers the whole damn interview. It's because you know ball, Chris Miles. Another dude that you were spot on about, Victor Wembanyama. I just said it earlier in the show, Chris. I think he's got more pressure on him than anybody in this NBA postseason because of the expectations that people like myself have set for him. I think if he stays healthy, Chris, he could potentially go down as the greatest player that's ever played this game. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the history of the league turn you into a jump shooting team the way that Victor Wembanyama does. This brother is special from a mentality standpoint. There's not a shot he can't make on offense. I feel like in 2K they do the my player builds. He is like the perfect build of an NBA player. Is there any scenario in which you see San Antonio falling short, and why would that be?
Great question. And I don't know if you know this season, I've actually, my assignment has been with the Spurs. So
you followed them around pretty much for the entirety of the year.
I've been on the team bus.
Okay.
Right?
Bet.
So I don't know if you know this. They're general managers from Silver Spring, Maryland, right?
Really? Where you go to school at? Where you go to school at? Do you
I
know?
didn't ask them those
you know that's my
right?
neck of the woods.
Savings.
You know that's my neck of the woods.
Google them and you can see all of it. But grew up there, DMV through and through, Wizards games, his homecoming and all of that stuff, right? So what I'm saying is I'm rooting for the brother, okay? Yeah. I have to be honest about that first and foremost. Yeah. So everything he does, we talk, right? And I ask him, hey, man, what you think of it? So, one of the things that I'll say within this team is that there was a back-to-back during the coldest part of the winter in Boston and Minnesota, okay? And it was when Victor was getting healthy. And if you go look at their, crazy streak of 29-2, whatever it was, right? It started there. And what happened was everybody knew oh, this guy's good. Fox is good. Harper's good. Castle's good. What should they do in the future? Wemby, is he going to start playing 30 minutes a game? And what was causing some of the losses is Castle's turnovers were through the roof, right? He'd come down and dunk on somebody. And then he just throw the ball away nonchalant. They're like, we got this. And they blew a 19-point lead to Minnesota. And it was the second night of a back-to-back. And it was freezing cold. And I was tired of someone covering the team, right? So I can imagine how the players felt. But what I'm saying about Victor Wembanyama, they lost that game. Hey, man, we need to holler at you. Hey, man, stop throwing that ball away.
Right.
And they all got into it, right? But not like, yeah, but like, hey, man, we win it.
Right.
It's not next year or the year after, like now.
Right.
And if you watch Castle's assist to turnover ratio, if you watch Harper's assist to turnover ratio, even when I interviewed Harper about it, you kind of understood like, oh, this is what they're doing now. They trying to, and then if you look at their 3-point percentage, it all shot through the roof after that. And so when you ask that question, I'm like, look, I know what Fox is. Fox is the experienced guy ready for the playoffs. But, man, Castle won a championship at UConn. Like, he's ready for the big moment. Wemby ain't scared enough. I mean, the playoff, he plays every game like it's a playoff game anyway.
Right.
So, with them, it's like, can they beat the Joker? Because the Joker got that, you ain't ready for this game. You know, Joker got the, man, you might be hot right now, but, you're like Memphis Bleak and I'm Jay-Z right now. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And be like, Joker did that to him a few times. So
he did.
I think that's the matchup that's scary. And then Minnesota has the
well, that's what I'm saying real quick, Chris.
legs.
I'm glad you just brought up the T-Wolves. Is Denver going to put Aaron Gordon on Ant? Because I'm like, where's the perimeter defense for Ant-Man in that opening round series? Who stops him?
So you asked that question. Oh, here's what I'm saying. Okay, that's fine. Righteous, well put together, everything like that. You're going to have a game plan to stop him. If you go look in the playoffs, he's exhausted. Whatever it is, Denver's going to have a game plan for that.
Yeah.
But the X factor to me, Naz Reid and Ayo Dosunmu. If Ayo is this guy, then that is like 3 levels up from what they had last year.
Yeah.
That's your X factor right there. Like, then Ayo's going to have 30-point games and beat you.
It's going to be tough, man. I'm excited. Me and you are rooting for the same squad in this postseason. I think the Spurs are primed and ready. I like the depth. I like the way that they play, and I think Victor is the right leader and has got the right temperament to get a team over the top, maybe even if it's a year early, according to some folks. I got to let you go coming up here, Chris, because we're up against it, but I wanted to ask you about the Los Angeles Lakers. Always appreciate him making some time for us here on Westwood One Sports Night. One of the best interviews in all of the association in terms of the insight that he is able to provide. I mean, such a huge fan of his. I can gush and gush all night long about how I feel about Chris Miles. The one thing that stood out in that conversation with Chris is how he feels about the Detroit Pistons, the team that you all say that I'm sleep on, that I'm disrespecting. Chris Miles said the exact same thing when it comes to the Detroit Pistons. They need a second scorer. If they can't find someone else to get buckets coming up in this playoff, someone else that can break defenses down off the bounce and create shots for themselves and others, if they can't find that coming up here in this postseason, not only are they not going to meet expectations and not advance very far, I'm telling you, do not sleep on the possibility of them getting bounced in the opening round. I know a lot of people will be like, Linnell, what? Hell no. I'm telling you, I think that it's possible. Don't count it out, is what I would say. 310-840-4910 is the number here on Westwood One Sports Night. One final segment to go as we'll put the show to bed, and we'll revisit a story we hit on last week that we got an update on over the weekend. Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel, the Athletics now investigating it. And Diana's on the sideline. I'll give you the details on that next. This is Westwood One Sports Night.
Who is the best edge rusher in the draft? Ohio State's Arvell Reese or Texas Tech's David Bailey? They're both expected to go in the top 5. You ready for this? The NFL Draft is next week. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Better late than never. We have finally made it to the final segment of the show. Appreciate you all locking in The way that you always do, man. We are the fastest rising national sports talk radio show in the country, Craig. Who is Craig? I have no clue. Oliver Populous here. Ben Strober's here as we get ready to wrap this bad boy up. Later on today in the world of sports, the NBA postseason gets underway. The play-in tournament is officially upon us, ladies and gents. Doubleheader tomorrow night. Heat and Hornets on Prime Video starting at 7:30. Then the nightcap on Prime. Blazers and Suns. Super duper excited for this to go down, man. Friday is when you get the 8-seed game in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference, which you get tomorrow in the East is 9th place versus 10th place. In the West, it's 7th versus 8th. On Wednesday, you get the 7th versus 8th game, the 7th versus 8th game in the East, and then the 9-10 game in the Western Conference, man. Thursday, everybody's got the day off, and then you have your 8-seed game on Friday in the East, and then your 8-seed game on Friday in the West in a doubleheader. Saturday is when the first round gets underway. 4 games on tap. Raptors, Cavs, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Hawks and Knicks, Rockets and Lakers. Isn't that crazy? The best game and the best matchup on the schedule is clearly Timberwolves and Nuggets, but LeBron James and Kevin Durant move the needle, so they get put into the primetime game where they got no damn business playing, if I'm being honest. I'm kind of annoyed at that. Timberwolves and Nuggets, by far the best game that you're going to see coming up on the opening Saturday of the NBA postseason. On Sunday, you get the number 1 seeds in action, and you get the number 2 seeds in action as the Pistons will play, the Thunder will play, Celtics will be in action, Spurs will be in action as well. We don't know their opponents yet as we continue to await the result of the NBA play-in tournament. I quickly want to keep you all up to speed. I'm sure, unless you live under a rock, you don't know what's going on. We brought you the info last week. Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel, caught in 4K by the New York Post, holding hands on a private resort together, leading to a lot of speculation. Last week when the news first broke, The Athletic came out in support of Diana Rossini. Both Rossini's camp and Vrabel's camp issued statements saying that, like, the rumors are categorically false, people are reaching, so on and so forth. On Friday, it was announced that Diana Rossini is being investigated by The Athletic, and while she's being investigated, she's not allowed to report. It's one of the biggest double standards we've ever seen in the history of sports. On the flip side, Mike Vrabel, nothing happening to him. He can coach and be a part of pre-draft meetings. Nothing's going to happen there. But Diana Rossini getting dragged through the mud, people acting like she's some morally immoral human being and that she's a bad person. Chill on her. That's what I'll say. Enjoy the rest of your morning. I appreciate you all locking in. I'm back with you later on tonight. Drake Toll comes your way next.
This is Westwood One Sports.